instead of holding one day for all public testimony. So if you wish to speak on the DOT FY25 budget today, make sure you fill out a witness slip with the Sergeant at Arms. On April 24th, 2024, the administration released the Executive Financial Plan for FY24-28 with a proposed FY25 budget of $111.6 billion. DOT's proposed FY25 budget of $1.45 billion represents 1.3% of the administration's proposed FY25 budget in the executive plan. This is an increase of $43.4 million, or 3%, from the $1.4 billion originally allocated in the FY25 preliminary plan. This increase is mostly due to funds for collective bargaining costs, increased costs for road resurfacing, conversion of Staten Island ferry boats to bio-renewable diesel, and an adjustment in utility costs. As of March 2024, DOT has 551 vacancies relative to their budgeted headcount in FY24. In the Council's preliminary budget response, we called on the administration to restore $3 million for Vision Zero outreach and education. And we're disappointed to note that this cut was not restored in the executive budget. It's one of our top priorities in the Council. My questions today will largely focus on the capital plan and DOT's federal funding, along with the impact of fake license plates on city revenue, among other topics. The practice of paper and defaced license plates to skip out on tolls and tickets has exploded to where it's costing New York City significant amounts of revenue every year, while also fostering a culture of lawlessness and reckless driving. I look forward to hearing more from the Commissioner and team and how DOT plans to address these issues and more. And I now want to turn to my co-chair for this hearing, Chair of the Committee on Transportation, Majority Whip Sylvana Brooks Powers, for her opening statement.
Good morning and welcome to the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure's joint hearing with the Committee on Finance on the fiscal 2025 executive budget for the Department of Transportation. My name is Sylvana Brooks Powers and I chair the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. Today, we will hear from the New York City Department of Transportation on its $1.5 billion fiscal 2025 executive budget. DOT's fiscal 2025 budget in the executive plan is 3% greater than its $1.40 billion fiscal 2025 budget as of the preliminary financial plan presented in January. The DOT's capital commitment plan totals $10.37 billion across fiscals 2024 to 2028. This is around a $1 billion decrease compared to the preliminary capital plan. As Chair Brandon indicated, the fiscal 2025 executive budget includes no new needs or PEGs and a modest increase of $43.4 million from several adjustments, including collective bargaining, fuel costs, and road resurfacing. As always, I hope to discuss with DOT how the city can more equitably invest in historically underserved communities across the city, from the Bronx to Southeast Queens and everything in between. I especially look forward to discussing how we can mitigate the potentially harmful impact of congestion pricing on Black and Brown communities, the city's slow pace of progress on the streets plan, and the expansion of accessible pedestrian signals, both of which are legally mandated, as well as the impact from the preliminary plan, PEG, on Vision Zero, education, and outreach. I would also like to learn more about the implementation of Sammy's Law, which was included in the final state budget. As Adam Clayton Powell Jr. once said, it's time to move beyond the rhetoric and into action. I look forward to better understanding how this year's budget can ensure DOT can meet legal requirements and more effectively serve communities citywide. Before we begin with testimony, I would like to thank Council staff for their hard work on preparing for this hearing. Our finance team, including Chima Abachir, Julia Haramas, and Adrian Drepal. Our legislative team, Mark Chen, Connor Mealy, Kevin Katowski, and John Basile. And of course, my staff, including Renee Taylor, my Chief of Staff, and Kiera Powell, my Communications Director. And with that, I will now pass it back to Chair Brannan.
Thank you, Chair. We've also been joined by Council Members Salam and De La Rosa. Before we get started, my thanks as well to Julia Haramis and Adrian Trapol from the Council Finance team for preparing for today's hearing, Committee Counsel Mike Toomey, my Senior Advisor John Yedden, all the finance analysts who support the hearings that we're doing over the next couple of weeks and work very hard behind the scenes. So I'll now turn it over to Committee Counsel Mike Toomey to swear in the witnesses, and we can get started.
Good morning. If you raise your right hands, please. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee, and to respond honestly to council member questions? Idanis Rodriguez. Margaret Forgione. Paul Ochoa. Eric Beaton. Ricardo Rodriguez. Thank you. You may begin.
Powers, morning Chair Bruce Powers and Chair Brannan and members of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure and Finance. I'm Idanis Rodriguez, Commissioner of the New York City Department of Transportation. With me today are First Deputy Commissioner Margaret Forgione, Executive Deputy Commissioner Paul Ochoa, Deputy Commissioner of Transportation, Planning and Management Eric Bickton, and Assistant Commissioner for Intergovernmental and Community Affairs Rick Rodriguez. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on behalf of Mayor Eric Adams on DOT's fiscal year 2025 executive budget and fiscal year 2024-2033 capital plan. This budget will allow DOT to continue to provide for the safe, efficient, and environmental responsible movement of people and goods around New York City. As you know, we are responsible to manage 27% of the land of our street, while also being fiscally responsible with our spending. We appreciate the Mayor's continued investments in DOT during these difficult financial times. You can see a peer chart showing the breakdowns of the $1.4 billion FY25 expenses budget. You have in your testimony, it is in the screen for the purpose of time. I'm going to be reading one by one because you have those information there. But that money will allow for us to have all the resources that we need for our expense. You can also see the chart showing the breakdown of the $26.5 billion FY24, FY33 capital plan. DOT approved $26.5 billion FY24-33 capital plan, include the breakdown that also you have in your testimony is showing over there, and with the resources that we need to take care of our resurfacing our bridges, street reconstruction, and many other responsibilities that we have in our agency. When it comes to improving New Yorkers get around, DOT continue to make traveling around the city more efficient for all New Yorkers. With congestion pricing scheduled to begin this summer, the agency has placed particular focus on providing New Yorkers with convenience, safe, and reliable travel options to get into and around the Manhattan Central Business District, CBD. Doing so is critical to the lives and livelihood of New Yorkers from every community across the 5 boroughs. Last week, we released, and you have a copy of those, and the council has a copy. If you don't, more than happy to send you one. The Connecting to the Core, a plan highlighting existing and incoming projects to support multiple modal transportation to the Manhattan CBD. The report highlights 47 bus, bike, and public realm projects that have been implemented since the authorizing state law for congestion pricing passed in 2019, and 37 new projects for which the agency plans to begin public engagement in the month ahead. Here is, again, the photo of the recently released Connecting to the Core Action Plan. These projects include major safety and transit enhancements on 2nd, 3rd, and 10th Avenue, including extending dedicated bike and bus lanes, expanding pedestrian space, and shortening crossing distances, as well as a new effort to look across town bus priority, including a busway or other improvement to 34th Street. They also include projects to allow safe access to and across the East River bridges, public realm and pedestrian improvements around the city's major transit hubs, and a bus priority project far from the CBD to improve the journeys to subway and commuter rail that take many New Yorkers into the zone. Together, these projects will make it easier for New Yorkers and visitors to access everything to Manhattan CBD has to offer while leaving their cars at home. The agency also improves travel around the city through so many of our other programs. We are working to expand City Bike and incorporate previously underserved parts of the city while adding more capacity to the parts of the system with the highest demand. At the present, more than half of the New York City residents live within 5 minutes walk or walk of a City Bike station. And we have started work on the next generation of greenway planning around the city, including ongoing community engagement for a new Harlem River Greenway in the Bronx to better connect from Van Cortlandt Park to Randall's Island, to enhance accessibility throughout the city. DOT continues to install and upgrade pedestrian ramps to create an accessible transition between the sidewalk and the crosswalk, install accessible pedestrian signals to provide information in non-visual format, and enhance accessibility at bus stop. In order to keep the mayor's commitment to reserves 1,150 lane miles annually, including 50 bike lane miles, the administration added $8 million this fiscal year and $40 million to the baseline to keep up with the cost in our resurfacing operation. We also continue many critical bridges projects to maintain the city's over 800 bridges in a state of good repair. These include a project wrapping up later this year that rehabilitate the Westchester Avenue over the Hutchinson River Parkway, which carries the number 6 subway lane. These projects, which require extensive coordination with the MTA, increase the clearance over the highway to reduce the number of bridge hits significantly and added a new protection beam to protect the bridge from any future strikes, enhancing safety on both the bridge and the parkway. On the Staten Island Ferry, DOT continued to provide free services between the St. George Ferry Terminal on the Staten Island's North Shore and the Whitehall Ferry Terminal in Lower Manhattan for over 45,000 passengers on an average weekday. Since 2022, DOT has launched 3 new All-Class ferries, featuring popular passengers' experience upgrades like phone charging outlets, comfortable seating, and an outdoor walking track, as well as enhanced safety feature for extreme weather. Here is a photo of the newest All-Class ferry, the Dorothy Day, sailing by the Statue of Liberty, as well as a photo that, as we hold a press conference together with Mayor Eric Adams, when the contract with all those captains in the ferry was already done. When it comes to curb management and freight, DOT is also taking bold action to better manage the curb to reduce congestion, double parking, and vehicle emissions. In March, we officially authorized the use of more types of e-cargo bikes on New York City streets and established key safety standards. The new rules will make deliveries safer and more sustainable by increasing low or non-emission options for freight deliveries, thereby reducing the number of large delivery trucks on our streets. Last month, DOT, along with Mayor Adams, launched the Locker NYC, the first one in the nation, a free pilot program that will allow New Yorkers to receive packages secured in lockers installed on sidewalk while consolidating deliveries at central location to reduce delivery truck traffic. We also announced $6 million in a new financial incentive in our off-hour delivery program to encourage businesses to shift truck delivery to the off-peak hours. As required by Local Law 171 of 2023, DOT is working to redesign the city truck route network to enhance safety, increase visibility, reduce traffic congestion, and improve the overall freight network. Last week, we launched a public feedback portal for the public to learn about the city truck route network and provide feedback. I'm also happy to say that DOT, in partnership with Economic Development Corporation, recently won $50 million grant from the U.S. DOT to build a first-in-the-nation freight-focused electric truck and vehicle charging depot at the Hunt Point Food Distribution Center in the Bronx, the busiest heavy trucking destination in the state, and to take an important step in transforming the city parking management system. Today, at 7:30 a.m., we kick off this program to upgrade the city's 14,500 parking meters to the new pay-by-plate technology. This transition to a license plate-based system will improve parking enforcement and end the need to display a paper receipt on the vehicles. We were creating so many receipts as we went to pay the meters and taking the receipt and put in the top of the car, that if we were added those receipts, we could go from here to LA. So from now on, when people pay by plate, they don't have to go back to put the receipt inside the car. And we are starting in North Manhattan, and in the next few years, we will keep going through Manhattan, going through Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx, until we change the whole way of how we pay our meters. When it comes to Vision Zero, turning to our Vision Zero, I want to acknowledge the difficult year we are having in our work to reach zero traffic fatality in New York City. So far this year, we have seen far too many people lose their lives on the city street. The loss of our family members, friends, and neighbors underscores how important our work is and the urgency it requires. Yes, last year in 23, we had a better year than ever. Last year, we had the lowest numbers of pedestrian fatality of the last 113 years since we started collecting data in our city. But one death is too many for Mayor Eric Adams, for myself, and I know for everyone at the council and the administration. The Adams administration is committed to getting critical safety projects in the ground. The FY24-33 10-year capital plan invests $4.7 billion in Vision Zero, and our expense budget invests an average of about $560 million annually. So this number is important for us to remember, because a question always will come: how do we use money from a speed camera, from red light camera? So this is how much we invest when it comes to our Vision Zero. $4.7 billion in Vision Zero in the 10-year capital, $260 million annually on expense. We are undertaking a number of critical street safety projects throughout the city, including breaking ground on the fifth phase of our Grand Concourse Great Street Reconstruction Project this fall. This project will deliver great separated bike facilities, pedestrian safety improvements, and new street, and planting to historically underserved communities in Fordham and Bedford Park. The majority of recent fatalities have occurred at intersections. This underscores our commitment to make safety improvements at 2,000 intersections each year. We design improvements like raised crosswalks, leading pedestrian intervals, and sidewalk extensions, as well as daylighting to improve visibility between pedestrians and drivers in 1,000 of those locations, which we know is a particular important to the council. Thank you for the level of advocacy and how hard you work for us to get to those 1,000 intersections. These troubling trends also show just how important it is to reauthorize and expand the city red light camera program. Last year, we saw the highest numbers of deaths related to the red lights running over record, 29. And all those fatalities were at intersection with no red light camera. The current program, limited to just 1% of intersections with signals, is too small to have a wider effect on deterring dangerous driving behaviors. We need the council hub to enhance safety on our streets by passing a home rules S2812, sponsored by State Senator Andrew Gornaros, and A5259, sponsored by Assemblymember Jeffrey Dinwiddie. Beyond the focus on intersection, the Adams administration is responding to these troubling trends in targeted ways. For example, to address rising e-bike fatality on daily single bike crashes. As you know, from those 30 cyclists that we lost last year, 23 happened with individuals using electric bike. And we also started the e-bike safety initiative. We launched Get Smart Before You Start, a new public educational campaign to inform e-bike riders on how to properly accelerate, brake, and operate at an appropriate speed. But the campaign also educates those who use electric bike to look for pedestrians too. Lastly, on Vision Zero, I would like to take a moment to celebrate the recent passage of SAMI law on the state budget. The important measures give DOT further flexibility to set speed limits in thoughtful, targeted way to keep New Yorkers safe. We are extremely grateful for the years of advocacy of Amy Cohen and family for safer streets and transportation alternative that got this over the finish line, and look forward to working with communities and local elected officials on any future speed limit change, as well as comprehensive project to make our streets safer. As we know, the DOT will be able to go deeply lowering the speed limit around the school, senior center, and park, but to lower the citywide speed limit, the council is the one that will have to make that decision. Turning to the public realm, this administration continued to reimagine the use of public space. Last month, DOT celebrated the largest open street, Car-Free Earth Day, to date with 53 car-free streets and plazas throughout the 5 boroughs. But also we improved the level of activation. Last year we had like 60 activations in the car-free. This year we had like 250. And those activations reflect the diversity of all culture that we celebrate in our city. This event, along with our Summer Street program, give New Yorkers a taste of what an open street feels like and motivates them to work with our agency and community partners to create more open streets in their neighborhood. The event also kicked off the start of the Open Street season with 132 initial locations, including 24 new locations, with more to come. DOT also recently announced that we are expanding the resources available to public space in under its resources neighborhood. Through the Public Space Equity Program, DOT will distribute new tools and services to open street, plazas, and other public spaces that will be selected based on partner capacity, site contests, and DOT equity goals. We are also accepting applications from restaurants for the Dining Out NYC program, the nation's largest and the best outdoor dining program. Early this week, we announced the Dining Out NYC Marketplace, an online marketplace for the restaurant to find vendors offering a range of services, including installation, storage, and design of outdoor dining materials and furniture. When it comes to the NWBE, under the Adams administration, DOT has been a leader in minority and women-owned business enterprise, or MWBE, contracting investments. I'm proud to say what I also shared with you before. DOT has increased our number of participation rates from 11% in FY22 to 24% in FY23, and by the end of this fiscal year, FY24, we hope to be close to the 30% MWBE utilization goal for the first time. To do this, we are advertising our procurement in community and ethnic media outlets, using our social media platform, and going to local communities across the city to show how to do business with DOT. That particular photo that you see there is what I started when I became a commissioner, doing annually doing business with DOT, bringing Michael Gardner, the director of WBE, Lisa Flores from the Mayor Office of Contra, Commissioner King from SBS, and hundreds of MWBE already certified, or those who would like to be certified. They have that opportunity to be connected with all the opportunity that we have at DOT. In conclusion, I would like to thank the council for the opportunity to testify before you. We are so proud of the work that the almost 6,000 men and women at DOT do every day to keep this city moving. We thank the council for your partnership in ensuring we have the resources we need, and look forward to continuing to work with you to make this city safer, more equitable, and more accessible for generations to come. We will now be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. We've also been joined by council members Narcisse and Farias. Okay, I want to jump right into, thank you for your testimony. I want to jump right into the DOT capital plan. The DOT's executive capital commitment for fiscals FY24 to 28 is nearly 9% less than the preliminary capital plan. It's a decrease of just over $1 billion. In addition to the decrease, a significant amount of capital funding was pushed to the out years. So could you talk a bit about why there was such a large decrease in the DOT's capital commitment plan?
Yes. I will start, and then I would like also to pass it to Paul Ochoa, our Deputy Commissioner oversees Finance and Budget, and then Margaret Fagioni, who also can add it. Where are we when it comes to the operation? Look, we know we were there. We've been there. We were there together. And we know that when we are at BMT, we are at leadership, we had to make decisions. We went through a tough fiscal challenge in the city. We feel that the cut that we did in the capital, definitely more is always better. But as a city that we have unlimited resources, we feel that we have that we know to keep our operation. But Paul Ochoa from Budgets and Finance, I think can be added a little bit more than Margaret from Operations.
Hey, Chair, good morning. The it wasn't actually a cut, it was a stretch. So the first thing we did was align capital projects to their current timelines to ensure that the projects we have funded in the capital plan are actually aligning with construction timelines. In that, we moved funds around to align them, which means we pushed funds to the out years. It is not a cut. We've also, in conversation with OMB and City Hall, we've gotten commitments that if the projects move forward in the timeline that they should, we'll be able to move that money up into the inner year window. So I wouldn't call it a cut necessarily. It's a stretch exercise. The city did have some debt capacity issues that luckily were resolved in the governor's budget, but we do have that commitment from OMB that we'll be able to move money around as needed.
Was it a systematic approach or project-by-project assessment, or did you determine it? Did OMB determine it?
No, we did. What we do is look at all the divisions. We ask all the divisions with capital projects, bridges, street reconstruction, SIM, to tell us where that we are on the projects. From there, we say, okay, well, this is where the project is in terms of construction, and this is where the project is in terms of the financial plan, and we align those. We did not touch any projects, for example, that were close to registering this year or close to registering next year, in order to give us that flexibility and not make this budget exercise have any impact on the actual deliverable of projects.
Did you look at borough equity?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is one of the core functions we do at DOT. We don't see any sort of inequity in terms of the capital plan. We look at everything, but again, the stretch exercise should not have any impact on timeline deliverables for the specific projects.
Okay.
Chair, if you don't mind, since Margaret is our president of the First Deputy Commission and that oversee all operation, probably she can add about how
Sure.
are we managing those.
Thank you. The one thing that I would add to what my colleagues have said is that we have not sacrificed or compromised any of our core services that involve capital funding. So we haven't reduced paving, we haven't reduced street light or traffic signal installations. We also very closely watch the inspection and the rating of all of our bridges to ensure that no work that needs to happen on a bridge to ensure public safety is delayed.
Thank you. That's helpful. Let's talk about federal funding. How much federal funding is DOT anticipating for FY24 and 25?
Again, I'm proud of the work that led by Paul, Jogis, and the whole team, Elizabeth, Igor, who is the team who get those work to be done. Paul will get into one sharing how much we've been able to get on federal grants and what is our projection for the future. But when I look to our numbers, I think that we definitely are, getting a historical record numbers of federal dollars that we've been able to rain. So, Paul, if you want to share where we have been and what a projection for the future.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. So there are several ways we receive federal funding. As the Commissioner mentioned, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Law have brought in hundreds of millions of dollars to the city in competitive grant applications. We've won about $100 million in projects for those competitive grants. We also receive on a year-to-year basis what we call formula funds. These are more traditional funds that we use for paving, for street lights, for staffing of the ferry, for example. I'll pull the exact number that we get from the formula funds. It is substantial. I'll get that number before the end of the hearing.
And one thing that I learned being a former chairman is that when Shima and the whole team used to prepare me for the budget, one of the questions was why we had less money by this time than the money that we have in October. So the reality is that in the formula funding, there's some of those money that they will come later on during the year. So a lot of the federal funding, as you know, is very competitive. That money goes through the state. We had to apply through the state. There's so limited, but I feel that resources that come directly, that we can apply directly from the U.S. Department of Transportation to New York City. But I feel, again, we had a great team, and we've been getting a good amount of dollars of federal grants.
Yeah, Paul,
and I
if you
do have
could
the
get us
number, Chair.
counting. Go ahead.
Pardon me. We estimate about $1.2 billion over the next 5 years. And this is just an estimation. The actual numbers come in year to year, as the commissioner mentioned.
Okay. All right, let's talk about road resurfacing. In the executive plan, $8 million in capital IFA funding was added in FY '24, increasing to $14 million in FY '25 in the out years. According to OMB, this is due to increased costs for asphalt. Per the mayor's management report, the average cost per ton of asphalt in the city was about $52, compared to $73 provided by outside vendors. So has the city considered increasing its in-house capacity for asphalt production and procurement to reduce those costs?
I feel that, and Margaret as a first deputy oversees operation, including the roadway division led by Irene, who is here, she will add it, but I will say that we're proud to say, and this is the thing that when I walk, I was telling Eric, like when we see this photo, for me it's about, that is so interesting when we walk in the street for us to know all the work, not myself as a commissioner, but the men and women they do to take care of our street. And one of them is about the roadway. Like we produce, as you say, our team not only go out and you see them this day during the spring and the summer resurfacing our street. But as you say, we produce 50% of the asphalt. And last year, for the first time in Staten Island, we started mixing plastic to produce asphalt too. So, but Margaret, if you would like to, may add to the chairman.
Yes, so as we know, asphalt is gravel and materials that are held together with a petroleum-based product. So as oil prices rise, so does the price of asphalt production. You do point out that our asphalt is cheaper. However, we think the roughly 50-50 balance of producing it in-house versus purchasing it is a pretty good way to go. There's a bunch of considerations that we take into account. Sometimes we need to do service on our 2 asphalt plants, so having capabilities in other places is helpful. And then also having asphalt plants in various locations around the city closer to our paving sites also makes a lot of sense, because in the colder months, we can get the asphalt to the site more quickly.
Is there a goal to get to 100% in-house, or that's not really the goal?
We have not stated that that's a goal, no.
I think that this is conversation. Again, we definitely can have it. We feel that we always work, led by Margaret and the team, Arena on roadway. Again, not only having our team to work on the street, resurfacing, but producing the asphalt.
Yeah.
And one thing that probably we should do one day is to visit the plant. So that also offer for you and the chairman for us to go and see the whole operation. We think that that our plan of producing 50% allow for us to keep a good balance on how much we spend it. Moving forward, we can have conversation. It will mean continue grading, continue investing more, identifying sites. Everything is possible, but we feel that producing 50% allow for us to have a good control of how much we spend for the material that we use to pave our streets.
I got a couple more. Let's talk about the Staten Island Ferry conversion to the bio-renewable fuel. The executive plan includes $1.4 million in city funds in FY '24 and $6 million in baseline funding starting in FY '25 for motor fuel. According to OMB, this funding relates to the conversion of the Staten Island ferries to bio-renewable fuel. Can you walk us through the conversion plan and the timeline?
This is incredibly exciting. Yes, we are piloting the usage of biofuel for the ferries team. We tried it over the winter. It worked great. The costs are slightly higher, but we do expect that cost to come down eventually as it becomes more available. I think it's not just a ferry. We're working closely with DCAS. They're the ones leading the citywide efforts to increase the use of biofuel. Sanitation uses it, fire department uses it. So it's a very exciting move that the city is undertaking.
How many Staten Island ferry boats are currently in operation? Are any of them working on biofuel right now?
Right, we're only working with one of the ferries with the renewable diesel right now.
How many ferries do we have?
I think we have about 14, but let me confirm the number.
But just one is operating with biofuel?
Yes.
Okay. And is there so is the target still 2026 to convert them all? Is that the target?
As Paul said, we are working with DCAS. We want to increase the number. I don't think we can say for sure that we'll be converted by that point.
Yes, Chair, our understanding is that the supply is not quite there yet, but we do expect that New York City will set the market for to be able to produce, for producers to provide that biodiesel.
Okay. Okay, I want to talk about the fake license plates and the impact that they have on revenue collection. Regardless of how you feel about congestion pricing, according to an audit by the city controller, defaced, obscured, and fake license plates have cost the city upwards or over $100 million a year in revenue, and the proliferation of fake and defaced plates has, really gotten out of control. And I think while there have been occasional crackdowns, they're not enough to truly address the issue. I think the city is leaving a considerable amount of revenue on the table by not addressing these fake plates. And I think, I don't think the crackdown is really the answer. I think it's really gotten out of control, and any driver could tell you that. I think we need upgraded technology to better address these enforcement challenges. I know that cars sold since 2019 are all connected via this GPS telematics API technology. And I know that there's a new RFP coming out on the cameras. So are we upgrading the cameras in light of this? Are we exploring the updated camera technology that would allow, basically what I'm told is that this technology, it doesn't matter what your license plate says, or it's defaced or whatever it is, this technology would be able to tell whose car it is, who owns it, and you could properly toll or ticket that person.
Yeah, first of all, this is like a real issue that Mayor Eric Adams and Governor Kathy Hochul, they've been taking very seriously. As you know, during COVID, there were so many cars with those fake plaques everywhere. We definitely have seen the reduction. Governor, Mayor, and recently announced they joined a multi-agency task force to crack down on those placard, and those agencies mainly is led by NYPD, the Sheriff Office, MTA Bridges, Tunnels, New York State Police, Department of Motor Vehicle, Port Authority, and Police. So when it comes to how the city and the state is taking this, it's like taking very seriously. But Paul, if you don't mind to also share a little bit about, since we also are working in the process for the new speed camera, we also looking to add new technology in the new camera that we will have in the future.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Is that RFP been released yet?
Not yet. It should be released in the next few weeks. I first want to mention, and I always talk about this when we talk about automated enforcement, it's never about revenue, it's about compliance. But it is an issue. I think you're absolutely right, and as the Commissioner said, it is an issue. It does require a state law, and as the Commissioner mentioned, we are going to be working with the Governor's Office. The technology is there. It's called DNA of the vehicle, is sort of how they talk about it. You can just have a few digits in the license, and with the color and make of the vehicle, you should be able to match the driver. So we are working for that authorization. It is also going to be included as part of the new RFP, as the Commissioner mentioned, that we're going to be releasing for automated enforcement.
Yeah, because I think the technology has greatly advanced since basically what we have now is a Kodak camera compared to what's available, right? So
Our cameras are capable of this technology. It does require a change in state legislation.
what's the legislation we would need?
It's about, right now, you can only issue tickets for license plates that are fully visible. So the legislation would be about, it's sort of a due process issue that.
Okay, we should work on, let's talk about that.
Sure.
That's important. I'd hate to see that, the new I'd hate to see us just if this new technology is available, I'd hate to see us just put out the same cameras that we've got now. Last thing is about City Bike. At the end of City Bike expansion Phase 3, which brought bike sharing to the outer boroughs such as Elmhurst and Marble Hill and Sunset Park, unfortunately, growth has now stalled. Just at the time when you're sort of at the doorstep of other outer boroughs, suddenly City Bike is saying they're broke. What are the obstacles standing in the way of further expansion? I know there's been discussion about city subsidy, but when you look at the map, it looks like the transit-rich areas, they've got all the City Bike they need. But when you get down to, southeast Queens or deep southwest Brooklyn, we've got no City Bike. And conveniently, this is when they say they're broke, just when it's time to expand. So we'd like to figure that out.
The commitment of Mayor Eric Adams and us is to connect all community with City Bike and micromobility. As you know, the council, with the previous group led by former council member Rafael Espinal, we passed a pilot project when we started the scooter program in council member Fernando Cabrera district that proved that was very successful. As a former council, I pushed DOT at that time to be showing the administration that we go to the different phases, the administration too, so that we can expand City Bike. And at that time, we went up to Washington High, we went to the Lincoln Hospital. So definitely, we've been seeing a lot of progress. I saw the City Bike at 242nd in the Bronx. It's in places that we never thought it would be when they started with City Bike. It is important that we all understand the benefit of biking. And what we are doing first is working to change the culture. In New York City, a lot of people see biking as equal to be poor. And a car became a symbol of progress. And I share when I was sitting in that side. I was born in 1965. My father had a bike in the Caribbean. But we were told, going by the car, and our people gave us the bike. I know that for Chairman Powers, we were riding bike with Henry Garrido, right, in their trip, and I know that they have fun. I was riding a scooter with Council Member David in Israel, in the Holy City, and coming back from there, we saw all the benefit. As I was riding bike with the Minister of Transportation of Ireland, he was saying, a person who rides a bike half an hour every day extends 6 years to their life. So we are expanding, educating our people to know bike lane is not equal community being gentrified. Biking is not a luxury. Biking is good for the health, it's good for the environment, it's good for the economy. So one of the things that we are doing is, working with changing the culture. For people to know that no, biking is not only something for the upper class and middle class and people with a high level education. It's good for everyone. Second, we are continuing working, building the infrastructure. I was having a dinner with Henry Garrido from District 37 last week, and he was talking about how he takes the ferry from where he lives in Sunview to come here to his office. But he said, I will have challenge if I use my bike because the bike lane is not there nearby me. So this is the work that we are doing. I feel that we have to continue working together. Again, one, to educate our people about the benefit of biking. Second, expanding our infrastructure, working with City Bike to continue expanding the new phases so that we can connect more community with biking.
So do we have a timeline for when we might see that next expansion into the so-called outer boroughs?
We are right now in process to see how we expand it. We can get back to you with a time, but we are in conversation. We live in City Bike on even expand, going further with the phase 3. We are on the phase 3. That's where we are so far. Like to add something?
I was just going to add that we're also looking at other ways to reach communities, such as expanding our scooter share program, which has been very successful in the Bronx, where City Bike is not present.
Look, I think we've come a long way, and I think, from my district, people want more City Bike now, which is a big change from how it was, say, 10 years ago or whatever. But it's frustrating to see that map. And just when it starts finally making some progress in southern Brooklyn, City Bike says they're broke. So it's hard for us not to sort of take that personally.
And I think, as you know, the mayor, Deputy Mayor Yoshi, and I, we announced in Queens one of the most ambitious plan for the Greenway in Queens. We also announced with the mayor in the Hybrid Park, last year, and we went back to announce how we are getting the community engagement to think about building the Greenway from Van Cortlandt Park to Randall's Island. We're talking about 8 miles that we also see as potential places where we also can connect those 8 miles for our New Yorkers to, especially those in the underserved community, to have the same access to walk, to bike. So it's about, again, working. I think that we have the best public-private formula with City Bike, and City Bike will live. We're also doing our own investment and your support. It's critical. We know that when I did the bike lane attachment, the community wanted to kill me. And now they see the benefit, though. So this is about, doing our work together to educate our community about biking is not equal community being gentrified. We can do it because it's good for our people, especially those who died during COVID with asthma and obesity. Die because, sometimes in those communities, working class, we have not built the infrastructure. So it's about building the infrastructure, and it's also about continue working, in this case, with the private-public formula with a City Bike.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm now going to turn it over to my co-chair. Before I do that, we've been joined by council members Hanks, Areola, Banks, and Stevens. Now I'm going to turn it over to Chair Selvina Brooks Powers.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner, we'll just start with Streets Plan. The Streets Plan is an enacted law, but in DOT's most recent report released on the Streets Plan, the department admitted that it has only built 9.6 miles of bus lanes, or 19% of the requirement. The agency was also required to upgrade 1,000 bus stops, but has completed only 6.8% of the requirement. On the other hand, you've built out 58.2 miles of bike lanes, which is almost 72% of the requirement. Why have you been able to come closer to meeting the bike lane requirement, but not the targets for bus lanes or bus stops?
There's some project that, in this case, DOT, we have the whole flexibility to go out and do projects, right? But there's others such as this one that require a lot of different partnership and voices of the community. Look, I was in Portland last Monday, and when I go and I sat on the table in the panel with the leadership of the USA Department of Transportation and mayors and leaders across the nation, everyone is looking at New York City, how we did 32 miles of protected bike lane last year. That number is larger than the numbers of protected bike lane built by all largest city in the nation together. So we know that sometimes even our heart is about, we would like to support this bus lane or bike lane, but there's some bases that we also represent that say, no, we cannot support that bus lane or bike lane. So as a co-sponsor of the Street Master Plan that I was, as a chairman that passed that bill, my heart and my commitment is to work with the Street Master Plan. We feel that the 18 miles of protected bus lane, new or enhanced that we did last year, with the 32 protected bike lane, we definitely turned good number. When we met with the advocate, they understand that, yes, we had a goal and the law established how many we had to build, but also we focus on, not only the quantity, but also about the quality. How many ridership do we move? Even sometimes we do 1 or 2 miles of protected bike lane or bus lane. So yes, we have challenge in front of us. It's difficult to accomplish those numbers. It's not only about the DOT, it's about also getting the support of so many stakeholders.
I mean, one would argue that you need to engage stakeholders on all fronts, but there has been a clear prioritization on bike lanes over bus lanes. where the buses are moving people in outer boroughs and communities of color, lower income communities, compared to where the access to, as Chair Brandon indicated, the bike sharing programs. And so what is the reason for DOT's failure to meet its mandated targets in the streets plan?
Sometimes even support from local council member, elected officials in the community that they represent. As I say, when I did the bus lane on 181st, still, even today, when I take a taxi in my community, the taxi came to me and he said, why I cannot go straight at 181st from Broadway to Amsterdam? And I had to take my time to explain. Yes, because it takes 3 more minutes for you not to go straight to 181st, but to make the right turn and go through 180 to Amsterdam, and it will take you 3 more minutes. If you are inside the car, you had a good air condition, you had a good heat, you can put your music. But those who came out from
Some
the one
cars.
train at 181st San Nicolas Avenue, that they were waiting for 40 minutes to take the 13, the 36, and with the bus lane, they reduced the time by 20 minutes. Our policy is thinking about the majority. So sometimes myself lived that. Myself who did the bus lane already first, I did it without support my community. I did the bike lane one. There was people say we put ourselves in chain. We cannot allow.
But
a bike lane.
Commissioner,
So it's about opposition
Commissioner, and I have to
in many
stop you
locations.
there, because the law stipulates that DOT is mandated and required to implement bus lanes and bike lanes. It does not mandate the city council to do that. The city council passed this legislation for DOT to implement this.
Yeah.
There is a requirement on the agency to implement this. So I don't think that it's fair to continue to deflect onto the members of this body for something that the agency is required to implement.
Yeah, you're right. And again, I learned from Gerd Brewer, to go astray and say things as I believe, not try to be the political correct. What I say is, council member, well, let's say we ask each council member to come back to us. Will you support more bike lane and bus lane in your district? And we know that in many council it's difficult. Because sometimes if you live in a transportation desert area, that people rely on the car, if you go out and presented a plan to do the bike lane, there's opposition, and that's the reality. You could say, well, but DOT, when you want something, we do it. We want to get there to those numbers. And by the way, when we passed the street master plan, we didn't include at that time dining out, which we did it. We didn't include car-free day, which we did it.
But
So
when
there's so many-
but when you implemented those, this legislation had already passed and should have been taken into account. So 2020 is always, perfect vision. But however, when we moved on to outdoor dining, and you, Commissioner, advocated very heavily for it because you felt that DOT had the bandwidth and capacity to implement that, it should have been taken into account that the agency is still required by law to implement the streets plan.
No, it is. Again, I completely agree with you, and we are not, we are so committed. I can say, and Eric Bittin, who oversees the division, he can share all the great work that we have done it, because I'm proud. When I did the five-borough bike tours, and we were there together, Lincoln and that girl was there, the other council member too, Martes. When I was there with the largest bike tour in the nation, happening in New York City, the second largest one, people from all states plus people from 65 different nations, they just look at us and say, how are you doing this? So what I say, yes, it is the law. And as a commissioner, I take it, and Mayor Adam too, very seriously. I've been also open and transparent to you. Sometimes when I go and have my dinner with you guys, you know that there's challenges for some council members to support those bike lane in your district. So this is about continue working together. Yes, we pass the law. It is the law. We are committed to follow that. But we sometimes hit big and tough rock when we try to go through with bus lane and bike lane through different community. I wanted to see bus lane affording. Like the offset bus lane makes sense. We couldn't make it. There was not the support there. So we are committed, but Eric, if you don't mind also to share a little bit and the information here on everything that we have done on the street master plan.
Sure, and I especially want to highlight it, as the commissioner said, we care deeply about quality, not just quantity. That if all we wanted to do was, stripe miles and miles and miles, I'm sure we could do that. But we want to make sure that these are done correctly, that they're done safely, that they're done working with communities to make sure that they're done in the right ways. And we put a lot of effort into that. So
But I only see that type of contemplation when it comes to the bus lanes.
So with the bus lanes, and you're right that the miles are lower, but it's also a good example of looking at the quality versus the quantity. Places where we upgrade a bus lane from curbside only a couple hours a day to offset more hours a day, that doesn't count under the streets plan law. But it's still a really good thing to do because it moves the bus faster. The streets plan also has requirements about camera enforcement for bus lanes, otherwise you don't get to count it. As Paul mentioned, we're working on a new RFP, we're working closely with the MTA to be able to get more camera enforcement out there so that more of the work that we do does count towards that target. So there's a lot of complexity to how we count those numbers, but the goal at the end of the day is to make sure we're benefiting as many New Yorkers as possible. So like this year when we upgrade the bus lane on 2nd Avenue, that's something that, first of all, benefits a huge number of people, the busiest bus route in the city. But we're not going to get credit for it because it already has a bus lane and we're just making it better. We still think that that's the right thing to do because it benefits the most people. But I think we're working very hard in the spirit of the law, and we're also trying to, with cameras and other things, make sure that we're meeting the numbers as well.
Let me also share with you some other accomplishments. DOT made several street plant benchmark with record-setting numbers. We installed a record of 666,000 square feet of pedestrian space for a total of 1 million square feet since 2022. We redesigned 1,464 intersections. We installed a record 866 accessible pedestrian signal. On most benchmarks where we fell short of the goal, we increased our production over 2022, including the most protected bike lanes ever installed in a single year. DOT improved the lives of 300,000 daily bus riders in 2023, 44 million annual bus riders. We protect that have made their services faster, more reliable. We also made our goal of upgrading half of all delineated protected bike lanes in the city, over 20 miles, with starting material by the end of 2023. We've been widening the bike lane at 10th Avenue, 3rd Avenue. And also we are widening.
As I said, I contend you guys have been doing a fabulous job with the bike lanes in terms of implementation. That's not my concern today, it's the bus lanes. But I just want to kind of move this along. During the preliminary budget hearing, DOT stated that funding was part of the issue preventing it from meeting the streets plan benchmarks. You also stated that sometimes more support is needed from communities where new bus lanes and bike lanes are created. Can you further detail the specific hurdles DOT has encountered in meeting benchmarks and what you are doing to address them? Also, I'm curious to know how much funding is budgeted in the executive plan for implementation of the streets plan, broken down by the fiscal year. And as it relates to the streets plan, how are you utilizing DOT's existing financial resources as effectively as possible?
Say, we always can do more with more. But this is like when I was there and you were there, and go through the last day of the budget negotiation, and you've been told you had $350 million distribute, but you had a need to $300 million. I mean, $1 billion. So I feel that the way of how, we run our finance, in this case, run by Paul Ochoa and the team, Elizabeth, allow for us to maximize every single dollars. We had to go through those pegs that, the city went through. And I feel that from the operation side, we had a great team. Margaret oversees all the 6 top operation units in our agency. So we are doing the best to accomplish all the goals that we have following the street master planning on the law that we have passed, where I am so lucky to be in that side, being prime or co-prime on those bills. So, but finance is always a challenge. We always can do more with more, but we are happy with the support that we've been getting from Mayor Adams as he increased our budget in 2022 by 18%, as he added $300 million at the beginning of 2023. Even though we went through a peg, but I can say that the mayor had put his money where his mouth is when it comes to support us for us to have the resources that we need to accomplish our goal.
And just so I'm clear, because what I didn't hear was the steps that DOT is taking to manage the hurdles that you're facing in terms of implementation. What tangible steps are being taken?
Right. So I want to reassure you that we are constantly meeting and strategizing over all the elements in the streets plan and where we are falling short and what we can do. We work closely with the borough commissioners and in terms of bus projects that you're concerned about, and we're also concerned about, it's not for lack of locations, it's not for lack of ideas of where we can do more. But we work closely with our borough commissioners and then with you, the electeds, and with the community boards to broach the projects, talk about the projects. So the key thing there is we could probably do more if we implemented projects like the commissioner mentioned, say Fordham Road, in spite of strong opposition, okay? And we're not at that point. We know both the council and the communities want us to work carefully with the public and with the neighborhoods. So we're gonna keep hitting it, we're gonna keep pushing it, and we're gonna do more and more every year as best we can.
Okay, and I definitely encourage that because I know for me, I talk pretty frequently to my borough commissioner about day-to-day constituent matters, but we haven't really had a comprehensive conversation as chair about what the implementation could look like even in my district and how we could work together with the community to implement it. So as chair, if it's not happening with me, I don't know what's happening with my colleagues. So
Okay, we would love to sit with you and have that conversation.
I'm
We
totally
really
open
appreciate it.
to that.
Thank you.
And I want to say this, if I will have the support of every single council member to do the bus lane and bike lane that we need, we will accomplish those goals.
I think equally, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think a lot of my colleagues feel the same. If DOT approaches this body in a way of collaboration where we are being proactive and having these conversations and bringing community and the members in on the front end, right, and leaving room to make the adjustments and trusting the local climate before implementation, I think you would see a lot less resistance to some of these projects. I want to move on to accessibility. A 2018 lawsuit brought against the DOT concerning the installation of accessible pedestrian signals, also known as APS, reiterated that the department is not upholding requirements under several state and federal laws, including the Americans with Disabilities Act. In his opinion, Judge Paul Engelmayer stated that the city had violated the law hundreds of times by failing to equip the intersections with accessible signals so visually impaired pedestrians could enjoy the same level of mobility and safety as sighted pedestrians. The judgment set forth the requirement that APS be installed across the city, as well as outlining a detailed action plan to improve accessibility by installing APS at 10,000 signalized intersections over the next 10 years. By 2036, all signals in the city should be accessible. Funding for APS projects in the Executive Capital Commitment Plan total $115.1 million over the 5 years of the plan, which is $15.8 million less than the preliminary capital commitment plan due to funding that was pushed into future years. Why is DOT not prioritizing installations of APS on a more accelerated timeline? And last year, DOT exceeded their streets plan APS requirements by 73%. How were you able to do this? Can we expect to see an increased pace of expansion going forward?
So we very much share the concern about making sure our streets, our sidewalks, and all of our crossings are accessible and safe for the public. This is a top priority for us. So ever since we settled with the court, we have met or exceeded, actually in every year we have exceeded the court mandated numbers for accessible pedestrian signal installation. So to date, we have installed 2,500 APSs. By 2031, we will have completed 10,000 APSs, which is the bulk of all signalized intersections. We will keep going after that. We've also implemented sort of new procedures to make sure that we're hitting this very hard. Every newly signalized intersection has an APS installed with it. So if we have a brand new traffic signal, we're doing the entire intersection while we are there for efficiency. And we have committed the funds that we need in order to get this work done.
How many do you expect to install this year, and how many do you expect to install next year?
We will install at least 700 this year, and I will get the number for next year. It could be 700 or 800, but we will, in all likelihood, exceed these numbers. And when we laid out the timing for doing APSs, this was something new for New York. We didn't quite know how it would go. But again, we're putting all of our resources into this, and we're exceeding the numbers that we had in the court mandated order.
Thank you. I'm going to come back in round two for questions on that. I want to just kind of get through a couple more topics to allow my colleagues to ask questions. I'm pivoting now to Vision Zero. New York City has recorded 78 traffic deaths during the first 4 months of 2024, which marks the deadliest start to a calendar year under the city's Vision Zero program, which launched a decade ago. In the council's budget response, we called on the administration to restore $3 million funding for Vision Zero education and outreach that was cut in the preliminary plan, but it was not restored in the executive plan. The DOT pushed for restoration of this cut in the executive plan. And how does the city justify reducing funding for education and outreach for traffic safety when our streets are becoming more dangerous for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers?
As you said, when we lost a loved one, friend, family, and I go and talk to the interfaith community, I say, when family lost a loved one, they come to your religion institution and they cry with you and they are asking for support, spiritual support. So definitely Vision Zero is something that is critical, and we have seen that is working. To get the lowest numbers of pedestrian fatality last year in our city, since we started collecting those data 113 years ago, is showing that the work that we're doing is producing good outcome. When, again, the nation had the higher numbers of pedestrian fatalities since the 1980s, we had the lowest number last year of pedestrian fatality. But also, let me give you, last year we lost 55 individual in motorcycle. And as you saw the campaign that we did in the NYPD, going with the education and the enforcement, from those 55 individual using motorcycle that we lost, only 13 have license. And that's why we are doing educational, for them to know how to dress, with colors when they get into the motorcycle, how to get insurance, to work with the Department of Motor Vehicle. From those cyclists that we lost last year, 30 of them, 23 were cycling in electric bike. And 7 of them, unfortunately, they were not hit by a car. They lost their life when they fall, when they hit a wall. So we are not sitting there, and that's where, again, the educational component is so important. For both, educating a motorcycle, we launched a campaign in the social media with the NYPD and the Department of Motor Vehicle, Governor Hochul and Mayor Adams. With the electric bike safety, we also launched a campaign, Get Smart Before You Start, so that people also learn how to accelerate, how to use the brake when they use the electric bike. So definitely Vision Zero has the 3 E. One is the engineer. which is led by Eric Bitton, leading a great team, redesigning our streets to make our streets safer for pedestrians and cyclists, and for the most vulnerable, in this case, who are senior citizens. The second is about enforcement, working with the NYPD, using the automatic enforcement, the speed camera. We need the council and us working together to continue working with Albany to renew and to expand the red light camera. This is a pilot project for 30 years. We have 14,000 intersections in New York City, and 44,000 intersections in New York City, and only 13,700 of those have signal. But New York City is only allowed to have the red light camera in 100.
Sorry, Commissioner, I just want to get us back
115.
on.
So if you don't mind on the red light camera, because the importance that red light camera save life, I want to highlight that part. And I know that this is something that we have to advocate together. This will expire in December. So we just need to work together again with the educational and the enforcement. Yes.
I'm sorry, I just want to get us back on track. I need answers to the questions that I actually asked. So to be clear, did DOT push for the restoration of this cut in the executive plan, yes or no?
We definitely had good conversation, support for OMB from City Hall. More is always better. And we maximize every single
So
dollar
yes,
to Vision
DOT
Zero.
advocated.
We always have good conversation. Again, more is always better. The funding for education of Vision Zero have made an important positive impact.
And to be clear, how does the city justify reducing funding for education and outreach for traffic safety when our streets, as we all know, have become more dangerous? Not looking at last year's numbers, but there were 78 traffic deaths in the first 4 months of this year. So I just want to know, what is the justification from the administration for this cut?
Well, listen, the administration has to make a tough decision. And if we will be, leading the administration, it has to be fiscal responsible. Sometimes decision is taken that they are not popular. Sometimes, when any PEC is happening in any areas is reduced, what we do is to focus on the more in-house to maximize every single dollar. But again, more is always better.
Given the record uptick in fatalities and the PEG, how does DOT plan to ensure that city residents benefit equitably from efforts to reduce traffic violence? Given the record uptick in fatalities and the PEG, how does DOT plan to ensure that the city residents benefit equitably from efforts to reduce traffic violence?
Well, I got to say that I enjoy in this moment being a commissioner, because everyone know I've been very open. Everyone know my record. Very involved in civil disobedience. Very involved with community student activists, being the teacher, being the council member, making agency accountable. Like to move NWB from 11% in 2 years, in 11 months, to 24%. It takes a lot of initiative. And where I get also the support, the leadership that work with me at DOT. One death is too many, council member. As I say, what we are doing is working 24 hours redesigning danger intersection. As a council, we pass a bill where now when there's a crash and someone ended in critical condition, NYPD respond for the criminal investigation. DOT, we, the council, when I was there, mandated DOT, now we're accountable to do it. DOT had to send someone when there's a crash. And we look at those crashes from the perspective of looking at if there's any changes that we got to make. So we are taking the redesigning very seriously. But we also need hope, because like when we talk about, let's say, reducing the speed limit, some people come and say, oh, New York City, they don't want to drive. And when we're telling people, it's, well, we're saying drive in the speed limit. If you drive at 25, people are safer. The driver gets to a destination safer. Pedestrians and cyclists, they will not lose their life. So we are doing the redesigning. We're investing in the educational, but also we need to come together, all of us, and working with all the advocates, the interfaith, the cultural institutions, to spend our resources educating our people about a street doesn't belong only to people that have cars. We need to protect pedestrians and cyclists.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm going to pause my questions for right now so we can hear from my colleagues, and then I'll come back to this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We've got questions. We've also been joined by council members Powers and Sanchez. And we're going to start with questions from Wrestler, followed by Lewis.
Great. Thank you so much, Commissioner Rodriguez and team, for being here. I'm going to try to cover 3 topics, so I'm going to ask for brief answers. I'm going to start by just showing you a video. Last week, no, a few days ago, we had yet another very scary crash on McGinnis Boulevard. This is McGinnis and Nassau. I imagine you've seen it already. We've had 140 crashes at just this intersection. We have a crash with a serious injury on McGinnis Boulevard, less than a mile long, every single week. We were told last year that City Hall was going to be reducing a lane of traffic south of Collier, between Collier and Meeker. We don't know what's happening now. We were promised an answer in the spring. My community is clamoring, demanding for safety on McGinnis. Is there any timeline when we are going to get an answer about whether this mayor is actually committed to making McGinnis safe? Just a timeline.
Sure. So again, as you know, what we said in the fall was we were getting started on the north section, and we've done that. We think it's working well. There's a few more pieces to finish up.
It's not what the community has asked for.
As we said, we're evaluating all the data, and we'll get back to everyone shortly with how we're going to move forward.
No time frame.
We'll get back to you soon.
And the data from the fall and winter demonstrated that, in fact, a road diet would be an eminently reasonable policy. Is that right?
We are going through the data right now.
Okay, well, everything I've heard from folks who've looked at the data has told me just that. So we're very much hoping and expecting that a road diet is in the future in McGinnis Boulevard. Secondly, the BQE, everyone's favorite topic. There's just $174 million in the 5-year capital plan to fix the triple cantilever. Does that mean that there's no large-scale, the significant amount of funding that you all have allocated is actually in the 10-year capital plan, not anticipated for the next 5 years? Does that mean that without the federal funding that the city's application was rejected for, that we're expecting for major capital work to begin within a 5-year time frame?
Thanks for that question, Council Member.
Good to see you.
Thank you. The funding is currently aligned with the construction timeline of the BQE. The current funding we have is enough for all the interim repairs and all the environmental work that is happening. The stretch that we did will not impact at all the timelines that have been discussed.
So you're expecting the major capital work that the administration is hoping to pursue to be 5 years out from now, between 5 and 10 years from now?
The timeline, the current capital timeline of calendar 28 start is what we are operating under currently.
But only $174 million being spent in that.
That is what we need to continue that work and lead up to that start date, yes.
Okay.
So we do not need the money earlier in the capital plan.
Okay, because I think that the administration intends to come for Parkland alienation and ULURP projects in the near future. It's good to understand that there's nothing happening for at least 5 years of substance.
There's a lot of environmental work that is happening right now. There's interim repairs that are happening
Which are important.
right now. Right. If we get to a point where we need the money earlier, we have a commitment from OMB and City Hall to move that money up.
Last question I just want to ask. I will say something nice. I generally really enjoy working with the Department of Transportation. So thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez and team, Paul, Ricardo, Margaret, Eric, and Keith, and everyone else, Danielle. We all appreciate the partnership in District 33 between DOT. One of the areas that I've been concerned about is lighting. Like, we'll get a traffic signal approved. What's the average time it takes to actually install it? And Deputy Commissioner Forgione, might you answer that if you have that? Like, the timelines are just bonkers. We are seeing in the lighting areas in particular, less responsiveness, less effective partnership than we see in many other areas of working with the agency. I'm just wondering, is this on your radar as an area of concern? Is there anything that we could do to help be supportive? We've got some legislation to increase pedestrian lighting that we're really excited about. I'm happy to dig into this further with you.
Are we talking about traffic signals or
Traffic signals
streetlights?
in particular are the area of concern, but I will tell you, I've got streetlight contracts that we've been waiting years. We've gotten
Right.
approval 3 and 4 years ago from DOT for streetlights in an area and still no progress. Livingston, I can give you a long list, Montague, Brooklyn Heights, but we really need help and attention on both street signals where the delay from approval to implementation is significant, and on pedestrian lighting where it's taking years, 3-4 years, before approved projects are actually getting implemented.
Okay, so the good news on traffic signals is that we have an increased level of funding, which will allow us to install about 200 per year. So that is a great improvement over what we've had previously.
What was it previously?
I don't have that offhand. And
Do you
we
have the timeline from approval to implementation of what you're looking at right now?
Well, it fluctuates depending on the number of requests that we get, and we do get a large number of requests. We have recently streamlined some of our review processes in order to be able to do them more quickly, so we expect that to go down, so we can get the exact numbers of
I'm
months
happy to hear that
review
you're
and
already
install.
looking at this
But
and making
we
progress.
agree, it's our priority once a signal has been approved to get it installed ASAP.
Thank you. And on the pedestrian lighting and just the extraordinary delays that we face there from project approvals to actual implementation, is there anything you can say about how more is
So
being
it's
done?
funny you say that because just this week, we were kind of focusing on that internally, what we can do to expedite some of the contracts that we
Great.
already have. We agree that that needs to happen more quickly.
Well, as I said, generally, really appreciate the partnership with DOT. Their BQE and McGinnis aside, you guys have been a very responsive and agency for our concerns in District 33. The lighting issue is one where I think we can do better, and I'm happy to hear you're already looking at it. So thank you all. Appreciate your time.
We've also been joined by Councilmember Moya on Zoom. Now we have questions from Councilmembers Lewis, followed by Carr.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner, thank you for being here with your team, and thank you for hosting the Commissioner in our borough and Councilmember Narcisse's district a couple of weeks ago. We appreciate the time that you spent with us in Trinity Jam. I have 3 questions, one on capital projects, pedestrian safety, and Brooklyn bus redesign. So Commissioner, you and your team came out to our district March 2023, where residents have been experiencing the most amount of challenges with infrastructure in our neighborhoods. Out of 2 sites where DOT informed us of prioritizing on their capital plan, we still are waiting on some type of resolve. In fact, the most common complaint from constituents have been contacting my office after receiving little feedback on a project ultimately returned as requiring a capital reconstruction will actually be completed. That's the response we got back. So I wanted to know if we could get a reasonable update on the record on the Nostrand Avenue and Avenue L case that was created in last year. So there's hazardous flooding conditions in that corridor, and Chair Brooks Powers also visited the area, which creates a very hazardous condition for those that are either entering the synagogue or attending the middle school across the street. In addition, can we get a reasonable update on the capital reconstruction roadways of Nostrand Avenue, Farragut Road, and East 29th Street that also have flood conditions that are exacerbating in that area? Now I'm going to go on pedestrian safety. The administration is currently budgeting $312 million for safety projects in our district, ranging from accessible pedestrian signals, left turn signals, and Vision Zero safety improvements. Over the past year, I've been receiving an increasing amount of complaints from the community regarding the timing for street safety projects and studies to be completed. So I wanted to know, does DOT plan to use the increase in funding from FY24 as one of the few agencies not receiving cuts in FY25's executive budget? And can we get a commitment from DOT to expedite these critically needed resources to often propose issues that we're having in our community? And the last question is on the Flatbush redesign that we've been discussing over and over again. I wanted to know what the plans were moving forward, since we're going to be experiencing some traffic safety infrastructure changes. There are community boards that have said that DOT has not met with them. We've met with 1 out of 3, and Flatbush takes up at least 98% of the district in the area where you guys want to change. So just wanted to know if we could get feedback from all of you on what those next steps will look like. Thank you.
The part related to Flatbush, I will let Eric Bitton, our Deputy Commissioner from the Planning Division, to take on it. Overall, you know, I don't want, as you know, I think that I have visited most of your council districts, or we have met when I had done the commission in borough. As Mayor Adams said, when he Mayor go to town hall meeting, his whole approach about when any resident bring any concern, he want his team to immediately following up. So this also the same approach that, you know, following his leadership, I also do as a commissioner. I don't want to go to a council district, highlighting any issue that is important for you, and coming back a month and not come back with a solution. So I
Right.
don't want to go back to your district seeing the same problem.
So can we get a
There's any-
commitment
there's
on the
any-
record today?
So, no, what I'm saying is, if there's any, I will follow with the commissioner in the borough to see what is the specific, where are we with the time frame. That's my commitment, because to get into the details, I also need to speak to the commissioner. But on the Flatbush, Eric, if you don't want to take on that one.
Sure, and as you know, Flatbush, a very important street, very busy bus route, very important for lots of reasons. The mayor announced this project a little bit ago. I think it took us a little while to get all the funding and the data together, but we are now re-engaging. We are working our way through the corridor. We haven't gotten to all of the boards in your area yet, but we will be, and we want to be kicking off that conversation.
It's just very interesting how you can say, and I appreciate your response, but it's just very interesting how you could say that we're trying to get to all the areas in the district, but you're quick to put in a bike lane and, city bike, but can't have a conversation about new infrastructure coming to a district in an area that not only I represent, but some of the other folks here on this committee. And we have 3 community boards in my district. One was approached and not the others. So I don't think it's fair. I think you need to consider in the FY25 budget how much of those funds you could use to do a comprehensive outreach to the entire community.
Yeah, absolutely, and we do have that in the works. We had to put together a contract to help analyze all the data. That took a little bit of time, but we are there now, and we are going to be engaging all up and down the corridor.
Thank you.
We have, again, more than happy to look in any area that we can improve, from the community engagement to following the project. Rick Rodriguez, our person who oversees the whole intergovernmental division, he knows when I go once a month, I spend the whole day in a borough.
Right.
So I'm more than happy beside, that our team go through a community board. If there's any to all of you, if there's any particular need that you feel for me directly to go and meet, as we have met before, with some members of the community board that you have brought together to your office, I will follow with that one too.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just say, Commissioner, I think, and I think you know this too, as we serve together, and certainly, I think you've done a great job, and your team has done a great job with trying to change that narrative. I think there's a long history of, at least for council members, that if DOT wants to do something, it gets done. If it's something that the council member brings to your attention, it's much harder to get done. And I think that's something that we have to work towards fixing, because, if DOT decides that there needs to be some sort of safety changes made, it'll get done overnight. If we want to get it done, we've got to do 10 studies and whatever it is. And I think your team has been great with accommodating us where you can, but I think you'd agree. I mean, it's unfortunately, there's a history there with DOT with just, if they want to do it, it gets done. If we want to do it, it's much harder, much harder. Okay, questions now. We're joined by Councilmember Brewer. Questions now from Carr, followed by Narcisse.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner, good to see you. My question is about road resurfacing. What is the allocation for road resurfacing in the executive budget, and how many lane miles does DOT expect to resurface with that allocation?
Yes, so the lane miles are 1,150. That's 1,100 miles plus 50 bike lane miles. In most years, we meet and plus exceed it, and we anticipate meeting it or exceeding it this year as well.
Okay, well, I'd like to make a call for something a little bit more than 1150. 1150 historically is very good, particularly when you look back at the Bloomberg years. But I'll remind the folks here that, there was a commitment from the agency in the prior administration to do 1,300 lane miles a year as we approached the pandemic, and unfortunately, it was a casualty of the budget deficits at that time. And I think that this is important work because we did have a lot of work to make up for because of the substandard rate of resurfacing that was done during the Bloomberg administration. Is this something that you'd be willing to reconsider as we move to budget adoption?
Right now, we have this consistent amount funded in the future years. We feel this is a good balance of numbers of lane miles resurfaced. Good indication of how well we're keeping up with our streets are pothole repairs. How many we get, how many are out there, how quickly we can get to them. We are in a pretty good place in New York right now, so we feel this is a good level of funding.
I think that, though, I still receive solicitations for additional capital allocations for more resurfacing in my district, so clearly more could be done and should be done. But this is a core mission of your agency. It's not something a member should have to allocate their own budget funds for. And I think that one of the other challenges we're facing, and I think we have to work together on, is the damage being done by utility cuts to the city's investment on our roads, into protected streets in particular. Our roads that you have done in the last several years, which were beautiful, are now being destroyed, even though you give plenty of time in between milling and paving for them to come in to do what they need to do. Could you talk about how you're trying to maybe address that issue?
Yes, it's a very important issue. So as we know in New York, we're very challenged because everything is under the streets. Everybody needs to get to their infrastructure by cutting through our streets. We work very hard prior to paving to meet with all of our partners, whether it's Con Ed, Empire City, every single utility and every single city partner to let them know that we are planning paving in a certain area. Then, as some of you are probably aware, we have a period of time in between the milling and the paving, and that is the time we want everybody to come in and fix their structures in order to make sure that we don't have to go back and do it again.
I think we have to do more to make sure that they're actually doing the work afterwards according to the standards of the law, and I'd love to talk to you offline a little bit about that moving forward. And my last question is related to the ferry labor force. Administration finally was able to end a decade-plus long stalemate with the ferry workforce in terms of a contract. So could you talk about how hiring up is proceeding and budgeted headcount for Staten Island Ferry, and whether you think you're going to be able to staff up so that we don't have these issues with staffing and having to cancel legally mandated services overnight?
Yes, it's an important question. We are already seeing an improvement in the ferry. We have been bringing on dozens of people. I think last month, Paul, it was 40 or 50 people. It was actually 70 people that we brought in. We had a very big chunk of deckhands, marine oilers, and other titles. So we are looking much better in terms of ferry staffing, and we hope to provide that very consistent overnight service.
That's phenomenal news. Thank you, Commissioner, for all your work, and for our Borough Commissioner and the good collaboration we have between our offices. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, we have questions now from Narcisse, followed by
Good morning, Commissioner, and thank you for coming to my district. And Trinity Jam, the food was great, so I'm
sorry I couldn't go to your birthday party.
And I want to say thank you for working on MWBE. As you know, that's a great concern of mine, and make sure that we create opportunity for our MWBE. Coming to the question, I'm going to do like my colleague. I have a few. Given the recent tragic collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, right? Can you detail what measures are currently, I read some here, but currently in place to ensure the structural integrity of New York City bridges? Specifically, how frequently are these bridges inspected, and what criteria are used to prioritize maintenance and repairs? Additionally, what proactive steps are being taken to embrace the resilience of the bridges against unforeseen accident and natural disaster? And before you answer, because I'm going to take my time, in the executive budget capital plan, funding for the Broadway Bridge Harlem River project is $9.6 million less in fiscal 2024 as compared to preliminary capital plan. What is the scope of this project? Why was funding in fiscal 2024 decreased? Is this due to a delay? Please detail. What is the project timeline? What is the estimate completion date? Keep that in mind. Giving the historical support for establishing a ferry service in Canarsie, I want to answer some question on that one, both from my office and Mayor Eric Adams during the tenure as a Brooklyn Borough president. Can you, because he was big for that one, can you clarify whether the current budget include any allocation, if you can, for examining or initiating ferry services in Canarsie? I think I have one more that I was struggling with. Do the current speed, I know it's a lot, do the current speed traffic cameras provide real-time live locks in to traffic conditions? Two, how does the DOT and the speed traffic enforcement vendor determine new locations for cameras? Thank you. I know it's a.
You did the same thing that I used to do. Let me throw those questions in my 3 minutes. No, yeah, so thank you. I will answer a few of those, and then Margaret and Paul, they can also complement it. When it comes to what happened in the bridge, it will not happen here in our bridge on the DOT. New York City DOT is responsible to manage almost 800 bridges and tunnels. All those river bridges are under our responsibility. Of course, not the Verrazano, not the GW. So in our bridges under our responsibility, it would not happen because those type of boats are not allowed to go through the water in those bridges. So that's one. And then with the ferry, that extension of the ferry is not on our portfolio, and that's EDC. We only manage the Staten Island ferry and the ferry that connected to the Hard Island. But the other, like, and Mayor Aaron, when he was in Staten Island, he's so clear on when he talked to Jimmy Otto and he say, we've got to figure out how to do it. Give a big W win with the ferry, extending the ferry to Brooklyn. But again, that's EDC. Margaret, if you don't.
If I may, anyhow, the way the transportation's going, when you live in transportation desert like ours, and that's why so many constituents against bike lane and all of this, by the way, it's a culture. We need to start it from kindergarten to get our kids in the culture, providing bicycles, providing their helmets until we get to that point. We have a long way to go, but I'm not against the start because we need that. I always say that. I'm for bike. Like you say, my grandfather was biking when he was 98 years old, so I'm into bike. But right now, let's get to the bridges. I understand that, and when it comes to the ferry, I understand that, but you can tell me if there is any planning for going forward, because we cannot address transportation and trying to decrease it, without making transportation possible for folks. And I'm for the ferry as well. So can you help me with that?
So what I say that EDC is the one who manages our NYC ferry, is not DOT. So we can talk about, and more than happy as a DOT to talk to the sister agency, but as someone that also asked EDC, when I was a council member, together with Councilmember Levine and Margaret Chang, to bring the ferry. I don't know if Gail was also a council member at that time, board president, but we sent a letter asking to bring the ferry along Manhattan, but EDC is the one that run the number, say no, the number doesn't make it. So the extension of the ferry there is not the Staten Island ferry, that's the EDC ferry.
I know, but I still want your input in it, because if we can get the bike lane, we can get all that, we have to keep in mind, this is a transportation. And if you don't want to share your knowledge on that, that's fine, we can take it off.
Oh, no, I believe that using our water, to move people and goods
Yes.
is that's a present and the future.
That's
So
right.
definitely, I think that when we look even our NYC ferry today, if you think about 20 years ago, like it's a big improvement. So any opportunity that we can look at it to expand, connecting, community with the ferry, I think this is good for the city, it's good for everyone.
I'll answer two of your questions, then Paul will answer about the Harlem River Bridge funding. So you asked about bridge inspections. How can we make sure we're taking care of our infrastructure? Every 2 years, every bridge is inspected by a licensed engineer by the state. We work really, really closely with the state. They immediately give us any conditions that they have found. These conditions are called flags, and we address them immediately. Generally, we are excellent at predicting the deterioration level of bridges, so we seldom have any surprises in these biennial inspections. However, if there's any condition, we address it right away, and if we have to adjust where that bridge is in the capital program for repair or replacement, we will do so. So we have a whole system of categorizing bridges into different categories, good, fair, poor, and scheduling that work. Did you ask about?
I have a line of question on there. That's what I was about to tell you.
Yes.
The one in Bridge Harlem River, that's the $9.6 million was allocated for 2024 fiscal year. As compared to the preliminary capital plan, what is the scope of the projects? And why was funding in fiscal 2024 decreased? Is this due to a delay? So if you can detail that out, what is the project timeline? What is the estimated completion date?
Yeah, I can talk about the movement of the funds. There are generally two reasons why we move funds from the inner years to the outer years. One is if the contract was over and there are any funds left over. This is usually in the hundreds of thousands. It's not that much. We move them to the out years to sort of park them there and leave them for future projects. In this case, the second reason is to better align with project timelines, which is exactly what happened in the Broadway Bridge. It was not a cut. It is just to align, as I mentioned, with the project timelines. I can get you the timeline of the project and the scope of the project before the end of the hearing, if that's okay with you. But it is not a cut. It is just an exercise that we do to align both the construction timeline with the capital budget timelines.
Okay, what is the estimated completion date?
That's
You're gonna get the timeline, the total timeline,
I'm going to give you the expected
the
completion
project
timeline.
and the
Correct.
the completion of the project. Okay.
Okay, and last, for our cameras, were you asking how we site the cameras in different neighborhoods, how we select where we put them?
Yeah.
Right, very good question. So all of our camera placement for speed and red light cameras are data-driven based on the incidence of speeding, red light running, crashes, and injuries. For the speed camera program, we also have 750 zones that we place the cameras in across the city. One very key point I want to make about our program is we don't have revenue sharing, meaning the contractor that we work with does not make money for every violation given. There's no incentive to give too many violations or to make money in that fashion. They get paid a flat rate per camera. So I don't know if you have any further questions.
As that compared to the timeline, I mean, the time of the traffic is compared, like when you take the picture, can we tell how is the traffic going in that area? Sometimes you find that you already engage and you get a tickets, and you're, a few of them sometimes.
Okay. If you have any locations that you want to talk more about, we're happy to talk about it, but the way they're designed is that you have the opportunity to stop on the yellow rather than proceed through, and you will not get that violation for red light. But if we can sit down and talk to you exactly about the number of seconds and the timing, if you want to dig into it deeper with our traffic folks.
All right, I think I stopped there. I took two. Thank you, cheers.
We've been joined by council members Hudson and Ayala, and now we have questions from Hanks, followed by Areola.
Thank you, chairs. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I have two questions. Just to follow up on the speeding and red light cameras. It was always perplexing to me why there aren't sufficient signage that alerts people that there's a speed light camera in order to really modify that behavior, as opposed to speeding and then getting a ticket in the mail. I think that would go much further as to modifying behavior, as opposed to, you know, most of us think it's a money grab. So if we really want to modify behavior, like yellow lights, if you don't have your phone on that is giving you directions where it says speed light camera ahead, then you notice to slow down. So the signage is not sufficient. So I just wanted to know, is there any thought to making the signage and alerting the public that there is a speed light camera, as not to speed through the camera, get a ticket, and then risk harming someone?
As I said, the red light camera is a pilot project of 30 years, which doesn't make sense to just continue being a pilot program, and that's why the support of everyone is so critical. We do have sign-up. People near any enforcement, automatic enforcement, red light camera, or a speed camera, there's a sign around those locations. But we also have two things that I want to share with you. One is, there's a common thing that we have in all those, unfortunately, New Yorkers that we lost being hit in intersection where people were speeding. There was no red light camera in none of those locations. Second, when it comes to the red light camera, 85% of people who get the first red light camera, they don't get the second one. And 95% who get the second one, they don't get the third one. So definitely this is about a tool that allows us to change the way on how we drive to.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So my colleague, Councilmember Carr, really asked the meat and potato questions when it comes to a lot of the issues in our borough regarding DOT. So mine is kind of going to focus on the Whitehall Ferry Terminal and the Staten Island side. We currently have 3 vacancies totaling 440,000 square feet. St. George Ferry Terminal has 5 vacant storefronts totaling 60,000 square feet, 100,000 square feet of vacant retail space. I've been taking the ferry often, and it is a real issue that it looks like we're losing revenue. Besides being lost revenue to New York City during the fiscally tight budgets, it's also a disservice to the 75,000 Staten Islanders whom take the Staten Island Ferry each day. So what is the current cost per square foot on both terminals for retail space, and is that on par with the surrounding neighborhoods per square foot? And what are the agency plans and timeline doing to fill these vacancies with what kind of amenities? And I just want to give a shout out to my Staten Island Borough Commissioner who's here, Roseanne. I'm hoping that this is under your purview and not EDC, so I just thank you.
Thank you. And by the way, as Roseanne, a great commissioner in Staten Island, one thing that I do is also when I come to my hearing, I bring all my borough commissioners and also so many of the leadership. So the question is only for me to now go back to my team. They are listening to your need, and they will be following with you. And they are individuals that I know all of you work very close. Mayor Adams' commitment is to deliver to this city. And as we work together, you saw when the mayor in the new ferry, and the question came to him about all those vacancies. He gave direction to say, move, expedite this process. So definitely we, led by his leadership, we take it, we work with EDC, and we are moving on. And by Paul Ochoa, our first deputy commissioner, he can give you more details about where are we on the RFP in that process.
Yeah, so it is a very exciting question because we have a very exciting answer. There are 2 types of concessions happening in the ferries. The concessions in the ferries themselves, which have stopped for a couple of years at this point. We had an RFP process with EDC, who manages this site for us. We have selected a vendor. We should be coming to you very shortly and with a timeline of reactivating the concessions within the ferries. The vacant storefronts is also an issue. We've also released an RFP to bring on vendors. We have gotten really good responses. There are some improvements that we, DOT and EDC, need to make to the actual sites to get them ready for future business establishments, but our goal is absolutely bring in new folks, activate that area, and make Whitehall the space that it deserves.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Thank you for being here today, Commissioner. Thank you for everything. Bye.
We have questions from Ariola, followed by Brewer.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. How are you, Commissioner? Good, good. I have a question also on the speed cameras. I just wonder, how often are they maintained and calibrated? Speed and red light, actually.
Yeah. They are maintained, so we pay a flat fee for the maintenance. So if they break, the vendor needs to replace them or fix them immediately. And they are calibrated once a month, I believe.
Once a month, okay.
Correct. And I would just mention, because we've had a couple of questions about this, as a reminder, there are 2 steps to reviewing every single violation. The vendor reviews the violation, which then sends the package to us, and a DOT city employee reviews the violation in the video to ensure that there was no foul play and that there were actually a violation occurred. So I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that.
Okay, great, yeah, because we get a lot of complaints that say, oh, the speed camera on whatever street is always catching me. There must be something wrong with it. So
I
just wanted
doubt
to make
it.
sure, and I promised I'd ask that question, so I did.
Can
All
I
right,
just
you
add
gave-
just
that
a
was
little
good
bit of
answer.
color on the red light camera? One of the things that does not happen, you won't be issued a violation for, is if you stop and you enter the box and you don't proceed through that light cycle, you don't get a violation. So that.
I don't know that that's true in practice, only because of what I'm seeing myself while sitting at a light and people are coming through a red light. So I don't see that in practice. But
I think that the most important what Paul says about
Yes.
we use the technology, but then we also have the men and women in our command center, like verifying that the ticket is happening.
right.
And just one extra step, a New Yorker can always appeal, and we have the oath review those violations, and a ALJ reviews those violations, or those appeals, and if they determine that the New Yorker, in this case, your constituent, was right, they would dismiss the violation. So we have several steps in every step of the process, from the vendor to DOT to finance and oath, to make sure that we're not giving violations that should not be given.
Great. And when a camera is installed, which this is really specific for my district, and I know it's happening in others, where the camera, for a speed camera, is installed on the wrong side of the street, not where the speeding is happening. And my amazing Borough Commissioner, Nicole Garcia, her team, so responsive, we all agree. But yet there's such a length of time from when we all agree that it should be moved to the other side of the street from when it happens. So why is there such a lag when we're all in agreement, and yet just to move that to the other side, and we're not saying remove it?
We can follow, and I would say overall, like, as you know, our team, Nicole,
Yeah.
and we work very close with you and all the council members. More than happy to look at, if there's any particular case. I feel that with the work that we do, with our
Right.
team, they definitely move
Right.
quick
And-
as
and
possible.
The only other lag question I have is that when the streets get paved, and from the time they're paved to the time that the yellow lines, 4 lanes go in, there can be a very long period of time, and people forget how to say to the right or to the left because there's no yellow line. So I think we need to work on closing the gap from when the DOT finishes paving to when the vendor who paints the lines comes and does that.
Yeah, we agree. This is something that we're focused on. Last year was better than the year before, but we certainly have room to improve, and we're focused on it.
Right. I just want to say again that our team in Queens, under the leadership of Nicole Garcia, has been amazing. Always call back, and are always responsive. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it.
We have questions from Brewer, followed by Powers.
Thank you very much. So I have to shout out Ed Pinkard Jr. and everybody in the Manhattan office, and to say that just the other day, bus stop shelter not liked by residents, and in a meeting on Zoom, residents happy and DOT happy. So congratulations, all of that works, and of course, Margaret Forgione is my hero. So Blue Highway, now that's more EDC than you, but is there any allocation for the notion of a Blue Highway? Obviously, there's a RFP going out in the downtown heliport. There's infrastructure issues. That was question number. I just to give you all my questions, and then the second. So that's one question. Second is, this is really mundane, but as borough president, those goddamn kiosks near the municipal building. Those are your kiosks. What's with the kiosks next to the municipal building? Because they've been empty for many, many years. I've been complaining for many, many years. On the red light and lights in general, speed cameras, I know that the summonses, once they are allowed by you, supposedly they get paid, I guess, through oath. So I want to know, I think it's finance that determines whether people are paying, but I just want to know, because I have a feeling people are not paying some of these fines. I know they're not paying others, maybe they're paying yours. On outdoor dining, I just want to know, what's the plan? How many people? Do you have enough funding? Are there vacancies in the inspections? And then on the e-bikes, congratulations. I am so sick of these e-bike issues. But the education that you're doing, is it working? Are there fewer 311 calls? Or are there any other ways financially that we can be helpful in keeping people following the rules of the road? And then I'm really excited about Pop Wheels. We're trying to get batteries to be non-causing fires, so that means new batteries. I just want to know the status of Pop Wheels or other places like companies that are doing installations that can keep the batteries to be safe? Those are my questions. Thank you.
I'm going to say a few of those and then Paul and Margaret and the team. With the Blue Highway, is us together with DC.
Okay.
Definitely, we have seen that we opened the process to hear from the private sector. They are responding. They're showing interest, and we feel that very soon we can hear, plan for some of those private sector that do a lot of those deliveries to get into coming with concrete proposal on using our water to move our goods so that we can replace those trucks.
Is there any money allocated? Like the Merit grant is only 5.6 million. That might be EDC and not you.
Yeah.
Any funding that's allocated to the Blue Highway from DOT?
Yes, we can get you on the specific, but the answer is yes. And we've been visiting some of those sites with those private sector that already are interested on taking advantage of this initiative. With the e-bike, I feel that, as you heard the number,
Yeah.
30 cyclists, we lost 30 cyclists last year,
Yep.
and 23 of those, unfortunately, cyclists that we lost, they were using electric bike. We feel that there's a pattern of some individual not knowing how to use the brake or accelerate the bike. So that's why we're doing this campaign. We don't have yet result that we can say we have seen how the educational campaign that we are doing already is producing the results, but we can get back to you on sharing that information.
Okay.
I'm going to tackle two more of your questions. As for the fines, they are paid. There is generally a lag. So when we see the violation, we end up getting the money usually the month after, at the latest 2 months after. But we do see our fines paid. This is the Department of Finance, the Sheriff's Office calculates if there are outstanding fines. I believe the current threshold is over $300. They can start booting vehicles, and they do scans over the entire city. So these types of violations would yield to the booting. So we are seeing people paying fines. As for the
Do you have some percentage of the, who don't pay, or you don't know?
We can get back to
us
yeah.
about that?
We only
And
see
the
the revenue
amount.
that comes in and the amount of violations. It's not a huge number that don't pay.
It adds up.
Sure. As for the Blue Highway, the commissioner is correct that it is an incredibly important project, and it is a partnership with EDC, but we do have funding for it. We have about $19.2 million in expense from fiscal year 24 to 28, and that is mainly for PS and OTPS costs for studies and
For studies, okay.
anything we may need.
Okay.
And I got to give credit to Charles and Denise from our team and the policy team led by Julie and Will, who are the ones who really are great leaders when it comes to being creative, when it comes to freight, and in this particular case with the Blue Highway. Margaret, take the order.
Thanks
Yes.
for the question about enforcement of outdoor dining.
Yes.
So just some quick numbers. Since the inception of the program, we have removed 650 non-compliant or abandoned structures.
Okay.
We've issued 182 summonses. The real test will come in August 3rd, by which time everybody has to apply or
Right.
remove their structures. We have 10 dedicated inspectors who just solely work on outdoor dining.
Okay.
But for August 3rd, once we start enforcing more widely, we're going to put almost all of our inspectors on this function for a few days to really make sure we hit all the restaurants and make sure they're aware that they had to apply or they need to remove their structures.
Okay.
So we feel we're in a good place for that. The kiosk by City Hall will follow up with you. I know
Municipal
that,
building, right? Municipal.
yes,
building.
sorry.
Yes.
The three of them, and I know that we are much closer. I got an update a few months ago that we had identified a vendor for, it was either one or two of the structures. So we will get the schedule today for when they should be coming.
Can you let me know? It's only been
A long
7,
time.
8 years.
We had some mishaps. We had selected somebody, and then during COVID, they went out of business, and then we had to start the process all
All
over
right,
again.
okay.
Yes.
Pop wheels installation, last one. Or something to do with, there's a funding attached to making sure that the batteries don't blow up. So is there some aspect to that that's being
Right,
worked
so
on?
we have put in several locations as pilots, and I believe we have several more coming.
Okay.
I know you gave us a suggested location that we should be able to get back to you in the next few days regarding that location.
Okay, thank
Should
you.
also give credit to the council. I think it was Councilmember Powers who passed a bill to do a pilot for a e-bike exchange program, which we did get $2 million, and we're in the process of
good.
moving that project forward. We expect that to have to launch the program later this year.
Terrific. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have questions from Stevens, followed by Ayala.
Well, it's still morning. Good morning. I just have a few questions, and they're a little bit of a follow-up from Councilmember Lewis around like community engagement. How much money does your agency spend on community outreach and engagement? Do you have a budget for that? Yeah, and community engagement.
Community engagement happen in different ways. Like, is
But do
led
you have
by-
like a specific unit, and is there a specific budget amount allocated for community engagement in your agency, or is it by project?
It's not. First of all, it's led by Rick Rodriguez, who manages all the intergovernmental. That also includes.
So you do not have a budget amount for community engagement? I'm just asking because I'm not asking. I'm asking a specific question, so I would like a specific answer, please.
Yeah, but I said, Margaret.
Just to add to what the commissioner is saying, community engagement is throughout every single program that we have. However, we have certain offices that are
That's the question there, because that's the next question.
Okay. We have certain offices dedicated to community outreach, our borough
So
commissioners.
do you have a budget for that? What does that budget look
So
like?
what I would want to get for you is the budget for our borough commissioners' offices, maybe our street ambassadors, some of the people that work under Ricardo. So if you put those together, that would probably be the public.
Yeah, because I think our definition of community engagement looks different, and it feels different in every community, and that's why I'm asking this. And so, especially because you're like, oh, it's different projects and da-da-da-da.
But
And so-
Councilmember, if you don't mind, so as Margaret said, we have educational division. So they go and work with 200 schools, working with senior centers. We have community engagement through the Office of Intergovernmental. I myself go and do community engagement once a month in the boroughs.
So, and again, I think our definition is a little bit different, so I think maybe we should be thinking about coming up with a common definition of what community engagement looks like, because I think when we're talking about projects, you guys say you'll do community engagement, and then I'm like, who did you talk to? And then it's like, my next question is, other than community board meetings for projects that are going on in districts, what does your community engagement consist of?
Rick, you want to take?
Yeah, so our street ambassadors is a case study here. You know, they go out.
Not a case study, I like, what does it look like, please?
Yeah, so they go out and they will go to communities. They speak and present information in over 10 languages to have
whom?
communities that they can. So the street ambassadors will reach out to local CBOs. They'll go and camp out in front of, for example, in my own neighborhood, they go to the
Because I just want to say this
Parks
never happened
Department
in the
outside
Bronx.
of the Red Hook Pool, and they'll have information kiosks where they can talk about projects that are coming online. And again, it's where people are congregating and visiting, so it's where New Yorkers are.
So that's subjective, because this is the
Red
problem.
Hook Pool is very busy.
No, listen to me, because I'm being serious, and it's a really serious problem for me. Because what happens is every time there's a project, and half the time my office isn't reached out to. Let's take a bike lane that was put in my district. My office isn't reached out to, and then I'll reach out to DOT, and I'll get a comment like, we've done community engagement. And I'm like, well, what did you do? They'll say, we went to the community board meeting. Then I'll say, did you even go to the full body community board meeting? And then no, they went to the transportation subcommittee of the community board meeting. And so for me to say like, oh, they're going to CBOs and da-da-da, what does it look like when there's a project coming? Why are we not talking to the NYCHA leaders? Why are we not talking to the schools? Because those things actually affect those things, the businesses. And so for me, it looks like you're cherry picking and going where you're going to get the feedback that you're looking for, so you can then say you're doing community engagement. So I just want to say we really need to think about having a working definition of what community engagement looks like, because that's not happening. And I want to be clear. I love our new borough commissioner. Very nice to see you here. He's been great. He works with our office greatly. But I'm not the only person that you need to engage when projects are happening. And what I am going back to my community and talking to my NYCHA leaders, talking to my principals, and talking to families, they're like, what are you talking about? There's nothing being sent out. And I asked about the budget piece because why aren't we doing mailers? What does it look like? Like the engagement isn't happening. And even our chair already said it, who said, when you guys have projects, you will find the data and the people to support the project, instead of actually saying, like, you might get some pushback, but that doesn't mean they don't want it. Sometimes it's just about having a conversation, and maybe they don't see something you see. So again, I think that we have to really think about getting a working definition of what community engagement looks like, because right now, my community feels like they are not heard and that you're not listening to them.
So I got to say, I'm proud of the work on how we've been improving community engagement, on how, under the leadership of Mayor Eric Adams, myself, we've been bringing the agency to the community. Like when we do projects like, and again, it's more than happy to hear that in particular cases where we have seen that it has not happened, but overall, looking at the relationship between the agency and the body of the 51 council member, we are committed to work closely with any one of you and also with the voices. That's why when I do the commissioning borough, and every 5 months, I go back to the same borough. The first thing that I told my team is about, be sure that the council member also ask for any institution that we like to invite. In one of the items of my visit to the borough, one is sitting with leaders of the community, and I've been very specific. I invite NYCHA leaders, I invite PTA, I invite business improvement districts, I invite the elected official. So if there's any particular other suggestion, one, I'm happy to, again, work with you.
So again, and I will say this, I think that you have been trying to be more accessible in the sense of when you come to the district and people know you. However, when there are projects going on, that accessibility does not feel felt. So there's a big difference, and I think that we have to, which is why I'm saying we need to get a working definition of what community engagement looks like, because again, when projects that you think you're gonna get opposition in, you go to the bodies of people that are going to give you the support and not actually listen to everyone. And that is what my community feels at this moment. And so, and I'm being clear, and so like, I get it. I'm not saying that you're not coming to the district. I'm not saying that I don't speak to your borough commissioner on a regular basis. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am telling you, my community does not feel heard when there are things that's going on, where there are streets that are cracked, when there's potholes. Those things often get put on the back burner, but when there's projects in a new bike lane, or you want to put in city bikes, those things just magically happen. And so again, I think we need to get a better working understanding. I have another question before, because one of the things that I'm noticing in my district, I have a lot of city bikes, and in one part of my district, I have a dock that has like 50, 60 bikes. I'm trying to get an understanding, and it's always packed. What is the evaluation process for the city bikes? Do you guys do an evaluation to see if this is a dock that's being used consistently? What does that process look like? Because I've asked this question a number of times. I haven't really gotten an answer. But what does the evaluation process look like? If people aren't using it, how do we make sure that we either are, making the bike dock smaller, or are thinking about, like, one of my docks, they just have regular stationary bikes, and I'm like, well, maybe that's not using it. What is the evaluation process for the city bikes?
Well, we definitely have a great team with the bike division, Michelle, John, and the rest of the team, and we work together. We leave, we follow those data. We look to see how busy are those stations that we have. We did, again, I have seen it. I've been always leaving the underserved area of Inwood to the east of Broadway. I have seen how in some places near the NYCHA, in the area where I live that I used to represent, we can do more to educate our people for the using of bike, to understand the benefit of biking.
Well, I don't think it's about the education, because, like, let's be clear. We all know High Bridge is hilly. So some people, and that's why some of the places I was like, I don't know if we got a bike here, because this is aggressive. This hill is aggressive. Ain't nobody riding this bike over here. But if we're seeing that these stations aren't being used adequately or not using, is there another option? Can we make the docks smaller? What is the evaluation process? Because it's not about just educating people about riding bikes. People don't always want to ride bikes. And understanding that every community doesn't necessarily are going to use them at that pace, because when they were put in, some of the questioning was, why are we putting in 40 bikes right here? And they were like, oh, we have the data to show that it's going to be used. And right now, I'm telling you it's not being used. So then what is the evaluation process of saying this is a dock that is being used consistently and they need 40 bikes here, and a dock that's not being as used and maybe we make it smaller? And how do we, and if there isn't one, how do we get one? And how do I get some of these docks either expanded, because I have places where they are used and it's always empty, and we only have 20 bikes, and then other places where there's 80 bikes and they're not being used. So what is the evaluation process? How do I get this, and when is this going to happen?
Yeah, more than happy to sit down with you, council member. But what we are doing, you heard from the beginning, and that's, that's how important it is for us to have this conversation. Like, we are building a network. where we want cyclists. It doesn't matter if they move from downtown Manhattan and they want to ride the bike across the 5 borough, or if they live near the Yankee Stadium or they live in Inwood, for them to be able to find a bike near the location as they go through the city of New York. So yes, one is we do the assessment, can get back to you to if there's any particular location.
There are several in my district that I feel like need to be evaluated.
But if you don't mind,
again, we should expand, and there's places that we need to decrease.
but if you don't mind, the answer is yes, we will follow with you.
Councilmember, I'll reach out to you right now.
Rick, educational is key. Again, I know because I live in the same area, and there have been a movement of people from Manhattan, not Manhattan, to the Bronx. One of the reasons people are not biking in working class community is because many times our people, and I push from that side, City Bike, DOT, to say, even I've been having this conversation with Henry Garrido, this is 37, and we talk a little bit about, we need to look at cyclists.
Commissioner, I just want to say, I think it's a little bit disrespectful for you to keep saying education, because people have, it's people with disabilities that can't ride bikes, people who have multiple children and families can't ride bikes, some of our seniors have ailments that can't have them ride bikes, and to say that it's just education is a little disrespectful. Because for me, I know that especially in my community, I've had plenty of seniors saying like, Althea, I would love to ride a bike, but I can't. And so that's not an option. And so saying education to them, and I've gotten yelled at about this, to them is disrespectful. And so I think we need to be careful about saying like, oh, we just need to educate because they don't know and it's working class people. No, some people have real ailments that can't have them ride bikes. And so that to me is a little disrespectful. Should more people ride bikes? Yes, great, but it's not just education. So I think we should just be a little careful about the language and the things that we're saying because it sounds a little disrespectful to my community.
No, listen, I was one of the things that I can tell as a teacher for 15 years that I was in this city. When it comes to education, talking about it's about like I'm working hard to push our people for us to know the benefit of biking. That's what I meant. I'm working with Lorraine Cortez, the commissioner of the Department of Health. We also working close to see how we can make bike accessible for senior citizens. So this is not about being disrespectful to say, I'm working with Henry Garrido in conversation to see how UNESCO passed a resolution already calling to establish biking as an instrument of physical education. So there's a lot that I feel that we can do when it comes to putting the fat on the table for our people to see the benefit of biking. That's what I mean when I say education. But also affordable also too. Like, I think that biking is part of the motor transportation. And I think that, it's not, yes, we rely on our train and the buses and the taxi and the car. But biking and walking is good for the environment, it's good for the health, and it's good for the economy too.
And I love that you love biking, but everybody doesn't have that same passion. And so to say to educate me on it, again, it's just a little inappropriate. Should we encourage people to do it? Yes. But like to say like, oh, it's all these things, we know those things. But again, everyone doesn't have the option to do it. And so to say that you're excluding a lot of people. We know in the city, we have over thousands of people who have disabilities who can't do that. And so you're taking them out of the conversation. And especially as someone who is in charge of transportation in the city, you should be thinking about everyone and not just a selective few people who can ride bikes. So I just want to, I'm done with my questioning because it just really got me upset because my mother, she has a walker and she can't ride a bike. And so you're saying that like, oh, I'm gonna educate her on how to get on a bike? How? Like, that's a problem for me. And there's a lot of people in my community that's like that and in those situations.
Okay, we have questions now from Ayala, followed by Hudson.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon, I'm not sure. I've lost track of time. But I have 3 questions. One is regarding a conversation that was had at yesterday's public housing hearing. So the Councilmember Salamanca asked a question to NYCHA about the sidewalk repair at NYCHA properties. And so I would love to get to I would like to get to the end of this conversation and really get to the root of who is responsible for sidewalk repair work at NYCHA developments. According to NYCHA, it's DOT. If it is DOT, then I would love to know, if you could tell us what is the budget for that and how are projects prioritized? I think your mic is off.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember. We collaborate a lot with Department of Park and with the right work and the light pole that they have. You know, we also, one of the things that Mayor Adams have instructed all of us about continue working together among agencies. So there's and some of the word that we can say is NYCHA, but we also collaborate. But Margaret, if you don't mind to taking that particular one.
Yes, so we do the work for NYCHA. We collaborate with them on the locations, as the commissioner said. They define for us which are the highest priority locations. So this season, we are spending $6.3 million on NYCHA sidewalks. I have the list of locations. It might be too much to get into, but in the Bronx, it's $2 million. In Manhattan, it's $2.3 million, and we can give you the developments in both of those boroughs for your reference.
Can you tell us what the actual cost of one sidewalk repair is?
Well, it all depends. We go by square footage, so sometimes it's one side of a development, sometimes it's all the sides. It really depends on the site.
Okay, because I did a similar project at Millbrook Houses several years back, and it was quite costly. So
Yes.
if you are working, let's say, in the Bronx with $2 million, how many sidewalks would that get me?
Right, so the work that we're doing in the Bronx is Morris, Monroe, Pelham Parkway, Randall Avenue, Throgsneck, Forest, and Mitchell houses.
So that's
And we would have to get you more details, a breakdown of, you know, is it 300 square feet? Is it, you know, much more? It can vary.
And so does DOT wait for NYCHA to highlight a specific sidewalk, or is there a department within DOT that goes out and assesses the conditions of the sidewalks and then has a conversation with NYCHA? How does it work?
We meet with NYCHA several times a year to kind of set the tone of where we want to go for the year and what are their priorities and what we have seen in the field. So it's sort of a meeting of the minds, but the final word, NYCHA prioritizes the locations for us.
Okay, because they kind of washed their hands of it yesterday and threw the responsibility on DOT. So that's why we're trying to get some clarity on this issue, because this has been a question that has been kind of roaming around as long as I've been in the council, and I've been here for a while, of who's responsible. Even when I was a staffer and we were working on the Millbrook project, you know, it took us a long time because no agency would assume responsibility. And I would like to highlight, and I'll have Councilmember Salamanca speak for himself and send over the information on the specific development that he was referring to. But, you know, he has actually, if you go to his social media, you see the whole video of a resident that lives at the development who is a wheelchair user and cannot, you know, safely travel throughout the confines of his development because the sidewalk repair is in a state that makes it impossible to do that, so that he has to go into the street in order to get around, which is dangerous, right?
Right,
Because
that's not acceptable.
Exactly.
And we will make temporary repairs. I think we may have done so at that location. So if you or any of the colleagues here have NYCHA locations that you have conditions that are unsafe, we will go in and do repairs in asphalt until such time we can do them in concrete.
Yeah, and I think that that's the important part, is that if we're putting in the asphalt, it would be nice to know what the, you know, the time frame for exactly the permanent, you know, job being done is, because I think there's a lot of confusion about that. And then I have two other questions. One is around the FDNY. We had a hearing last year where we brought up the issue of EMT response times being significantly delayed. I'm not sure if this is something that you've heard about, but in my district alone, I've had over, I would say at this point, I have them documented and happy to share. You can speak to those people yourself. At least 10 cases where folks have called an ambulance and have waited one as long as 6 hours before she called me, and it was probably roughly around 8 hours before she was picked up. I had a senior at Millbrook Houses who passed out in the lobby, and they called an ambulance. It took an hour. You know, I mean, like, I can share story after story, but the point is that when we had this conversation with the agency last year, one of the things that they highlighted was that the traffic redesigns are creating a condition that is also, when traffic is slowing down, it's also slowing down the response time because they're getting stuck and jammed in that traffic. Is this something that you're aware of? Is this something that you're working with the agency on? Because obviously when I call 911, you know, it's for a dire emergency. I would, you know, we're expecting folks to get there as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Thank you, Councilmember. And I will start in Eric Bitton, who again oversee the whole planning division. He can add it. I got to say that, you know, first of all, when we do any project, we always ask and get the okay from the fire department and the NYPD. We don't compromise safety, including the movement of fire trucks or NYPD. And in most cases, I got to say, especially in my observation as a commissioner, is about being in the community. A lot of the traffic jam that we have is not because of the designing, but it's the people doing double parking or triple parking. So again, but before a project take on, we work and we need to have a okay from the NYPD and fire department.
Yeah, and just to build on that, we are working directly with the fire department to see if there are locations where traffic speeds have been declining and affecting the response times. You know, we're trying to dig deeper into the data. What we've seen on a citywide basis is that traffic speeds aren't any slower than they were, 5 years ago. So this isn't a global problem. Like, even as we've made street changes, we've seen traffic speeds stay right about the same. But it could be that there's some specific location where there's an issue, and that's why we're happy to work with the fire department. As the commissioner said, we take public safety very seriously, and if there's a location where fire trucks or ambulances are getting routinely delayed, we want to work with them, whether that was caused by something we did, whether
I'm
it's
sorry,
caused
I
by
just have to
something else.
interject because this is actually not true. When I think about the bike lane on Beach 20th and Rockaway, the local firehouse, the big house, was not consulted before that bike lane of hard infrastructure was implemented. It has also slowed down the response times as well. And I know that, I think Councilmember Ariola has a legislation in right now that would require that they be brought in on the front end of a lot of these conversations. So I just want to
And
point
just
that out.
for that particular project, that was a DDC capital project. The fire department was included in all of their mass mailings. It goes to the central fire department. It's on them how they coordinate amongst themselves to get responses. But they were very much included in that.
Even their headquarters in past conversations have indicated that they would like more communication with these projects, because when they are brought in, it's not on the front side of the project and what that looks like. So they may come in, but it's not at a point that it would be beneficial to them or take into account what that impact is going to be.
Yeah, we're happy to talk more about all the ways that we do communicate with them.
Yeah, no, and again, I think that's, what, it may be an unintended consequence, right, of the way that we're designing or the approach that we're having to ensuring that people are not double parking, whatever it is, it's a problem. And, we are hoping to have an oversight hearing on it soon, just to try to get to the bottom of it, because it's so prevalent in my life that I cannot, it's hard to believe that it's just a coincidence at this point, right? So many people have reached out with the same scenario. There was one case this winter. It was freezing, and a gentleman was collapsed and unresponsive at Randall's Island. And I guess there was a pedestrian that was walking by and saw this and called 911, and they said they couldn't be there for an hour. So we had to call the NYPD to go and respond. Like, that's unacceptable. So there are things, and I'm not saying that this is all specifically, geared to the street design matter, but it was one of the things that was highlighted by the FDNY as one of the contributing factors. So I would love it if, there was some conversation just to try to figure out, like, where and what the root cause of those problems are.
Yeah, and part of the reason we are excited to work with the fire department on this is if we did something that caused a delay, we should fix it. If there's something else, if there's a new store that opened and there's a lot of double parking, and we can go in and try to address that location, whatever is on the street that's causing a delay, we want to work with them. And
I think for me it's a little bit frustrating, because as a legislator, I assume, and I think that normal, people are like assuming that there's conversation between the agencies whenever there's a hiccup somewhere, or they're identifying something that they're calling and saying, hey, you know what, guys, like, this is becoming an occurrence, in the work that we're doing, and, we're concerned about it, but I don't think that that's happening. So I'm really we're trying to connect the dots here and trying to figure out what is creating, is it is it because we're short-staffed? Is it because we don't have enough ambulances? Is it a traffic pattern issue? But that was something that was brought up by the FDNY as a contributing factor. And I just want to pitch something. I do drive. I'm a driver. I know that people have shouted me out on Twitter for driving a vehicle. I am not ashamed of driving my vehicle, but when I am on the FDR Drive, I also realize that there are a lot of ambulances that are stuck behind me in traffic. And so I always puzzled because there's like a whole side of the highway that could be used as an emergency lane. And so I'm just gonna throw that out there. You know, I don't work for the DOT, but as a suggestion. And then finally, I would love, yes, I think your mic is off.
We, as I said, re-elaborate again. Before any project, we get the okay from the fire department and the NYPD on any project.
Yeah.
Definitely, as Eric say, we are more than happy to, so agency talk. In this case, any project that we do that has any impact with the agency, they come to the table, we participated with them. And we don't move it without we had also the okay from them. And as I said, there's many factors that can contribute. If any project take on and we have to get back and learn on things that we can improve, we would do it. Double parking is one of the major contributions of those traffic issues. And I can say, like, if you go through Dyckman, people will say, oh, the bike lane, now the ambulance doesn't go through. Well, because people go to the bakery to buy the coffee, they do double parking and triple parking. So when I say it's about yes, more than happy to continue working with the other agencies that we work together, but we also have to understand and realize that double parking, triple parking contribute a lot to those traffic issues that we have in our streets.
I think that's a conversation that should also be had with other city agencies that also double park and use their city-owned vehicles to obstruct traffic in bus lanes and create the problem. Or, well, at least they're contributing to it. And then lastly, I think I would love to be able to get an update at some point regarding the 138th Street and 3rd Avenue redesign project. Under the de Blasio administration, we got a commitment to fully fund the redesigning of that intersection because it has a higher than normal adult population that lives in that community that has to play chicken every time that they're trying to cross at either part of the intersection. And it's been quite a number of years. This was funded predating your time in office, but it is something that's really important considering the number of older adults in that community, and I have not heard anything.
Is that the area that you and I will work together with the principal?
We went, you didn't get to go to 138th and 3rd. I went there with Keith, but we went to Brockton.
But inside the school, right?
Yeah, not the school.
Nearby.
No, the school is something different. It's an area on 138th Street and 3rd Avenue. The traffic patterns there are like ridiculous. It's even if you're driving, if you're crossing, if you're walking, it's very difficult to get through because nobody knows where they're going.
Councilmember, we have a brief update and we can get you more details. So that's a DDC project. It's being built out capitally, and it is now scheduled to happen in 2025.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Questions from Councilmember Hudson?
Thank you so much. Hi, Commissioner. How are you? One quick question, just as follow-up. I've heard you talk a lot about double parking and triple parking. Are you all doing anything around enforcement with NYPD?
This is priority. The answer is yes. We know that, as I say, we're taking responsibility for our role. You know, our agency is responsible to organize our infrastructure, roadway, and sidewalk for people to move, people and vehicles to move efficiently in our street.
Right.
So enforcement is important. We work close with NYPD, with Commissioner Caban and Chief Rivera, and we know that this is something that, you know, they also take very seriously.
Okay. I was just wondering if you've had those direct conversations since it was mentioned a number of times.
Councilmember, if I may too, the MTA cameras were also authorized to start enforcing on double parking. So we do
Cameras on the buses, right?
Correct. So we do expect that that we will have even more enforcement coming from the MTA as well,
Okay.
aside from all the work that PD is doing.
Thank you. Just curious. I wanted to ask a few questions about the Open Streets program. I have many successful open streets in my district, but there's no real uniformity, I would say, across the board. And so I'm wondering how many Open Streets programs are currently operating across the city? What's the budget for the Open Streets programs, and how many staff are assigned to the Open Streets programs? Your microphone, please.
Open Street is one of those great things that came out from COVID. I know during COVID, we had to be creative, and there were so many spaces where previous administration, they put a barricade and they gave a space to community to be able to have area where they can walk, being safe. 2022, this administration, led by Mayor Adams and us, we decided to make Open Street more permanent. 2022, we did 217 Open Street. 2023, we increased those numbers to 237. And all of those Open Street, we've been able to get a partnership with a non-for-profit, a business improvement district, and also we provide financial support. We recently, last year, it was able to go into the process and fund the institution, the Horticultural, that I know work closely with many of you guys, and they got a contract of $27 million, where also that money is also used to hold those Open Street, operator of the Open Street too.
So $27 million going to Open Streets programs?
No, we have, say, that particular one is a $30 million contract. $27 million went to the Horticultural for them to hold.
I see. But can you give me a number for the total budget allocation for Open Streets, for the Open Streets program?
Paul can add a little bit more, but I can say, or Eric, but again, I can give you the biggest picture, which is about we continue providing support to those to the Open Street that they don't have a non-for-profit or a business improvement district that they don't have the resources for them to get up to $20,000. That's the amount of dollars that we are providing on support. We also have $30 million, $27 million through the whole cultural. We also provide $3 million for NWBE that they also help with the management for the Open Street. And also we do the car-free day in the Summit Street. So, we took 7 miles of Summit Street that used to be only happening from Brooklyn Bridge to 79th Street. Last year we went up to Harlem. We went through the 5 borough. And what we do in the Summit Street, also we put money in the car-free Earth Day is give the community the opportunity for them to enjoy what a Open Street can look like on a day. So, and we can encourage more to apply to be part of the Open Street.
So can you talk a little bit about the open streets that are actually managed by DOT? I have one in my district on Willoughby, and we've heard that when it's time for the barricades to be up, they're not up on time, so that people are not being able to safely walk through the open street. Can you just talk a little bit about what happens when DOT is actually managing an open street?
Sure, and we'll look into what is specifically going on Willoughby. But as you said, in some cases we work with a partner who does a lot of that management, and we can fund them and help them through the Horticultural Society. In some cases where there's a good open street and that partner isn't able to do that, we do take on that management. Where we have a contractor who gets out and can move the barriers and can deal with a lot of the other maintenance aspects happening on the street. They are supposed to be out at certain times. If we have a number that all open at the same hour, they can't move every barrier at exactly the same moment. But if they're regularly happening late, we will go and see what's happening on Willoughby.
Yeah, that's what my office has been hearing, that since it was changed from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., the barricades aren't out on time. I don't know if that's one specific corner, versus like what you're saying, like if it's one person that's doing it, obviously one end is going to be out maybe at 8 versus the other end, but generally we're hearing that the barricades aren't out or even removed on the other end at 8 p.m. In a timely fashion. So
we'll check to see exactly what's happening there.
Okay, great. And then does DOT have programs to accommodate and support businesses that might be negatively impacted by the Open Streets program?
What we have seen is that Open Street benefit the small businesses too. What we have seen is that what people say at the beginning, which is about if there's an Open Street, it will have a negative impact in my business. In average, what we have seen is in the same or increase of sale in those small businesses.
Well, I think
if there's any particular location where a small business feel that their business being hurt, more than happy to look at it. By in average, a small business sell doesn't decrease when we do open street.
Yeah, but I think there's diversity in the types of businesses that are on any particular open street. So some businesses rely more on people who might be traveling by car, but also by bus. And when there's an open street, the buses are rerouted, and then people are unable to necessarily walk to those businesses from wherever the rerouted location might be. So, I'm just asking if there's any specific support programs that might be, allocated specifically for businesses that are, negatively impacted.
Businesses around any open street, they are part of the process, they are integrated. Again, if there's any particular case that anyone feel that their sales have been decreased, more than happy to look at it, but in average, what people believe at the beginning that sales will be decreased when there's open street doesn't happen. A open street benefit the whole for people who use it, and also help the economy of the small business who are around those locations.
Yeah, I understand. I don't disagree with you, but like I said, there are diverse types of businesses. Not everything is necessarily just a restaurant. I do have a restaurant in my district that is having challenges, so I would be happy to talk with you about that. But also, hair salons and other type of businesses that aren't selling food, that also need their customers to be able to get to the businesses. So if there are ways that we can,
we will look at it.
Work creatively to think about, potential solutions or workarounds, accommodations that might be able to be created. My office has reached out about, shuttle buses and things like that from some of the rerouted bus locations, but that wasn't an option that's what we were told. So would be happy to talk to you.
Follow with you.
Great, thank you. Thanks, chairs.
Thank you. Chair?
Thank you. Next, I wanted to touch on Sammy's Law. Sammy's Law was recently passed as part of this year's final state budget. This measure will allow the city's Department of Transportation to lower the speed limit by 5 miles per hour on a specific road starting on June 19th. The law applies to any road that has 2 lanes or less in either direction. To lower the speed limit citywide, the state law requires the council to vote in favor of such change, after which there would be a 6-month period where speeding drivers would get a warning rather than a ticket. However, an aspect of the bill that has been widely reported on allows DOT to lower the speed limit on specific streets without council approval. All that's required is a 60-day notice to the local community board, followed by the same 6-month warning period for drivers. Has the administration had any conversations about the implementation of Sammy's Law? And if so, what was the scope of those conversations, and what are the city's plans for implementation?
The mayor said yesterday, when we reduce the speed, we save life. And we know that speeding ruins lives. I'm happy that together we were able to get Kathy Hochul, Governor Mayor, the council, the assembly, the senate to work together and work with Amy, Family for Safe Street, TA, and get Sammy Law to the crossing line. Now the question is, how do we use it? For DOT to continue using this tool with more flexibility to reduce the speed limit, especially around the school, senior centers, parks, is a tool that we will continue using it. And we are in the process, yes, again, to look at any area where we will use it immediately. When it comes to reducing the speed limit citywide, this is a conversation that I know the administration will have with the council. Is the council ready to pass the bill to reduce the speed limit to 20 miles per hour? This is a conversation that, again, I know will continue happening between City Hall and the City Council. But you heard the mayor yesterday here say, definitely when we reduce the speed limit, we save lives.
So to the question that I asked, because it was not answered, has the administration had any conversations about implementation of Sammy's Law? If so, what was the scope of those conversations, and what are the city's plans for its implementation?
The administration that we'll be implementing is DOT. And what I say is DOT already been using the tool to reduce the speed limit around the school to 20 miles per hour. Now we have the tool with more flexibility. We're ready to use it immediately. Now the question is to pass the law that will reduce it citywide. The council will have to take the vote. I know that conversation will be happening between City Hall and you guys to make a decision, and we are ready to pass the bill.
Is the department considering immediate speed limit reductions on any already identified streets? And if so, can you provide a list?
We use it, the answer is yeah, we will give you again.
I'm sorry, the answer is?
The answer is yes, we will use that tools because now the
No, the
summit.
question is, do you have the streets already identified?
No, right now, again, the bill said that after June now, when we had the flexibility to implement the tool.
So you're not already looking at what streets you're looking to?
It's not just that, we use it every day as any project that is doing on the planning. And when we, at the beginning of 22, I announced that we were improving safety around 150 schools in New York City. So every day as we go with our team to improve safety, to reduce the speed limit, we will now have this tool that we can use it with more flexibility. So we can get back to you in any particular project that is in process to take place in the next couple of months and give you a help and share that information about where and when we're looking to use that flexibility. But still, it's going to be in June when this bill is on effect.
Has the department conducted a study to determine which streets would most benefit from a reduction in speed limits?
Around the schools, around senior centers, and around parks are the top priority, and we are ready to go and use the tool to reduce the speed limit at those locations because that will save lives. When it comes to the citywide, the council will have to make the decision when the council is ready to work with the administration.
I
to reduce
understand
the
that. When we
citywide
have a
speed
bill
limit.
to talk about, we can talk about that. I just want to get through these questions in the interest of time. What statistics or metrics does DOT consider when deciding where to lower speed limits?
Crashes, data, NYPD, we rely on data on any location that we install on the tool, from the speed camera to red light camera to a crosswalk to a speed bump. This is about following the data. That's what we do.
Will the administration engage local elected officials for their recommendations and input?
We always do, and we always will.
Will the department consult local community boards for their recommendations and feedback?
All the time, because that's the law. The law says that we need to also consult with the community board. We have
Just to notice.
We have 60 days. The bill will establish that we will definitely consult with the community board.
Well, just to be clear, the law says that you have to notice them. I'm asking if you will consult to take in their feedback as well. Will DOT consider the feedback received from the community boards and integrate that into the plans?
Listen, that's what we do every day. Like, we have our ambassadors, we have our borough commissioners. I myself go through community board. I invite everyone. Community input allow for us to community to develop ownership with the project that we do, and this is priority for Mayor Adams and for me.
And will DOT consider hard infrastructure investments alongside this to ensure that there's actual speed reduction?
The flexibility that, the change with the summit law is that in order for us to have the speed limit, we had to do some infrastructure work, so we don't have the flexibility. I can say that there's no another city that had a planning division as the one that is led by Eric Beaton and the team, from Emily to Sean with the plaza. It's like, this is the best thing that we have in the nation. So definitely, to invest, to put the resources, our dollars in capital project, doing more crosswalk, is important.
Speed bump.
We work to the daylighting too. This is something that, you push for. We heard you. And we know how important is daylighting also. So we're doing 2,000 intersection improvement, in every year from now on. Among those, 1,000 of those will be daylighting. So definitely we will be using other infrastructure projects, as also we will be doing, also we're going to be reducing, lowering the speed limit.
What is DOT's estimate of the cost of new signage that would be required for the speed limit changes? And how much is currently budgeted for signage and installation? Will more funding be needed to adequately cover the projected costs?
We had to do a lot of changes because now you also, we work on doing the daylighting. It means that we also had to do sign. If Eric has any number we can share, we can get back to you.
Yeah, it does depend very much on the location. Any single sign is not especially expensive. A sign costs $50 to $100 to make typically, plus the cost of going out and installing it. But we're a big city. Any one location is not expensive. Doing a lot adds up very quickly.
How does the department plan on informing and educating city residents about this new law?
About the new law? Continue doing what we're doing. I feel that, from relying on elected officials to help us through the social media, through your town hall, to go through community board, to go into the business improvement districts, to use our ambassador from our borough commissioner in each borough, to working with the interfaith community, PTA, nature leader. Those are leaders that we always work with, and we will continue doing that. And by the way, and we also had with Kim, who is our person who lead our educational division. I don't think that there's another Department of Transportation that have a large division or educational team. We work with more than 200 schools in the city, meeting with the teacher, with the student, developing curriculum, working with the PTA. So also we're going to be working with the schools.
I'm switching now to Safe Routes to Schools capital projects. There is $117.3 million in funds allocated for Safe Routes to Schools projects across fiscals 2024 to 2028 in the executive capital plan. What types of changes do these projects entail, and how were these school routes selected for these projects?
I can take a chair. So the Safe Route to School is one of the critical programs we have in our Capitol Street reconstruction plan. As you mentioned, we have different contracts for different boroughs. The types of improvements that we do are anything from curb extensions to median expansions to pedestrian islands and everything in between. We can also do lightings, leading pedestrian intervals, and any sort of geometrical designs needed for the schools. It is also a data-driven approach. We look at crash data, we look at GIS speed data to pick those schools. It is very equitable distribution. Again, we have contracts in every borough, so we do look at not just the equitable distribution within the city, but also by borough. So it's a very exciting program. It's a large investment and a large part of our capital plan.
What are some Safe Route to Schools projects DOT anticipates completing in fiscal 2024 and 2025?
Give me 1 second. I should have. We have the Bronx. So the Bronx school. So we have them by contract. I can get you the list of the schools after the hearing. But we have the Bronx school safety contract. Should be completed later this year, same as the Brooklyn one. The Staten Island contract should be completed in next calendar year, and we're going to be breaking ground on the contracts for Queens and Manhattan in next calendar year.
But just to add, in addition to the capital projects, through our in-house street improvement programs, we do safety upgrades around schools as well, because we know capital projects can take a long time, and we don't want to wait to get improvements to the schools. So we'll often go in earlier, and I know we're doing a number of projects in the South Bronx. There's projects all over the city where we're going to be doing safety improvements specifically around schools so that we can get those in very quickly.
Are the projects broken up equitably across the city? Is it like one per borough? What's the number per borough?
So it's we can get you the exact number, but it's a few dozen, and they are spread across all 5 boroughs. We spend a lot of time particularly being focused by our priority investment areas that came out of the streets plan, that we're focusing our efforts in the high need areas, the historically underinvested areas.
Can someone get that for us while we're here?
Sure.
One thing that we are doing as we do the project around the school in many occasions, we also use the student for them also to be part of what we do. When I announced at the beginning of 22 the numbers of improving safety project around the school, I did it at 190 in Amsterdam Avenue, where the students from I Challenge Myself, they were also part of working with the DOT team, learning the process. First of all, identifying this challenge of safety around the GW and PS 189, but they also participate in the whole process of the project that we are doing. And so, again, we are, that doing across the 5 boroughs priority by improving safety is something that, since this administration took office, we started and we keep doing it.
And does DOT have any plans to expand these improvements to include additional schools? And if so, how will they be selected?
I think we are always looking to do more. As the Commissioner mentioned, we can always do more with more. Once these contracts finish and wrap up, we are going to be looking at how we can keep investing in our Safe Routes to School program. It is a conversation we're going to be having with OMB and City Hall in the coming months, year or so.
Moving on to congestion pricing. The executive plan includes other categorical funding in fiscal 2024 of $800,000 for a traffic study and $1.3 million for a parking study. These studies are part of the congestion pricing environmental assessment and will be funded by the MTA. Can you walk us through the data that will be gathered and the analysis planned for each of these studies? When will the results be available?
Being ready for congestion pricing. And so, on June 30 is going to be the first day when congestion price will be on effect. That congestion price is led by the MTA, where New York City DOT, being a partner, participating in the study and the assessment, the plan that we put it together, how ready we are on the Busway and, at 34th Street, and how we are improving the infrastructure that we need for this moment is something that we have done it, but on the parking study, Margaret can take on that one.
Yes, so as you mentioned, we are doing a study of the effects of congestion pricing on communities that border the area, as well as other communities a little further afield, that the concern is that there will be an influx of people who come into those neighborhoods, attempt to park, and then take transit into Manhattan. So as part of that study, it's very critical that we have very good before data of what is occurring right now, what is happening in those neighborhoods, what is parking availability, what is congestion. So we are in the process of collecting that information right now. Will be completed by the end of this month, the beginning of June. And then post-congestion pricing, once things have settled a little bit, we will then complete the after portion of that study, and we'll have some additional information to share with people about what we're seeing.
Are the studies targeting any particular locations?
Yes, and I can get those for you. I don't have them with me.
Okay. Do you think someone could get it before we're done here, or?
We may be able to. Yeah.
Okay. What shifts in traffic patterns is DOT anticipating once congestion pricing is implemented? And has DOT conducted a study into how congestion pricing may or may not disproportionately affect neighborhoods that are home to predominantly Black and brown communities?
First of all, Margaret can add, but what I can say is that congestion pricing, what we know, one, will allow us to see how, again, led by MTA, to see a reduction of congestion in the central part of Manhattan. At the same time, it will allow the MTA to raise $1.3 billion, but they also can borrow additional $13 billion, money that will go back to our community, especially working class community that rely on our buses and our trains.
Okay, as part of congestion pricing, and Eric may have some more details for you, we are doing some work in other communities that potentially could be negatively impacted.
Which communities?
Such as in the Bronx. So that has been the focus to date, and I think that, as we talked about earlier on, the commissioner testified about our Connecting to the Core. We're doing a lot of other projects to ensure that there are a lot of options for people all around the city. Do you?
Yeah, I'll just, like, one of the things we're very focused on and really came out of the thorough analysis that was done is a focus on air quality. That, there was an issue raised that particularly if trucks try to avoid the zone by going through the Bronx or going through parts of Brooklyn, that they might exacerbate air quality and asthma issues. And that's why, as part of the money that's coming with the program, we're going to be doing a lot of retrofits, both of what they call TRUs. These are like the refrigeration units that.
But where's that money coming from? Because most of the congestion pricing funding has been spent already on the current capital plan.
Yes, so it's coming. It's coming through the MTA, either directly from congestion pricing or from other related sources. That's going into cleaning up the trucking in those areas.
Has DOT considered the adequacy and changing needs of parking infrastructure as it relates to congestion pricing?
Right, so we feel it's very important to actually see what happens on the ground before we begin to discuss any changes in that regard.
How does DOT plan to mitigate the potential effects of congestion pricing, such as increased park and ride activity, as well as increased traffic flow in certain neighborhoods just outside of the congestion zone in northern Manhattan, such as Harlem and Washington Heights?
Again, we'll be watching very carefully to see what the effects are. We want to have the data on that before we talk about it further.
Okay, I'm gonna try and race through these last few sections. Starting with MWBE contracting, what percentage of DOT vendors are MWBEs? Particularly what, I want to also know what outreach and education does DOT do to alert MWBEs of RFPs and contracting opportunities? And has DOT's contracting with MWBE vendors increased over the past 10 years? What are DOT's MWBE goals, and what is your progress in meeting those goals? And what more can the agency do to ensure that MWBEs receive more opportunity in its procurement and concession contracts?
Yeah. When Michael Garner, the director of the NWBE, shared the information about how, following the direction of Mayor Eric Adams to put $25 billion on NWBE by 2026, include the numbers that DOT is producing, make me to really be proud of the great job that Carlos Barnintes, who lead NWBE at DOT, has done it. I was for 2 years asking all those questions. How are we doing? How are we doing? Can we do better? And the agency never moved more than 11% of the NWBE. It is 2 years and 4 months, and the number moved from 11% to 24%. And I know that before the end of June,
Is that
those numbers will be close to 30%. That's the results of putting together a conversation about doing business with DOT, doing the outreach. I don't think that another agency, another period of time, the city has improved NWB as we have done it from 11% to 24%.
But Commissioner, if you could clarify that number, is that number the combined number of M and W, or is that M, and if it is, what is the W like comparatively? Because in the comptroller's report that we spoke about in a previous hearing, we saw that DOT's numbers were extremely low on the M side.
Yeah, so I'd like to clarify, the controller's report included projects that have federal funding. Local Law 1, which is the city's MWBE law, does not include those projects. The federal funding projects have different targets. They're called DBE targets, or disadvantaged business enterprises. So that's why we put them separate. It is not apples to apples to put them together. From the Local Law 1 city MWBE projects, that's the 24% that the commissioner is mentioning, and that's the 30% or close to 30% that we expect to land at the end of the year.
But is the 24% MNW?
MWBE. So I can
can you break down the M and the W?
Yeah, I can break down, that's right, I can break it down. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So we have of the total MWB amount, 39%. This is a year to date.
Okay.
Chair. 39% have gone to Black-owned businesses. 21% have gone to Hispanic-owned businesses. 14% have gone to white women or women-owned businesses, and 26% have gone to Asian businesses. So it's actually been a pretty healthy spread of the various groups that comprise MWBs.
And is the goals applied against all DOT projects, or is it only certain projects?
So they are all the projects that fall under Local Law 1, which are all the projects that do not have federal funding, is the easiest way to think about it.
And what is the percentage of the federally funded projects versus not?
So the federal projects tend to be large capital projects. I'll give you the denominator for the Local Law 1, if that's helpful. It's about $600 million in contract amounts. So of that $600 million, about $600 million, I would say. That's the denominator.
Chair, as you know that in
Mike, please, Mike.
so many infrastructure, one of the things that I can tell you, changes that I have made at DOT is to be sure that any committee that we establish in this agency to review contracts, they have to be diverse. This is one thing, as you ask, what is that I'm doing? What is that I will keep doing it? I also been sure that not only, let's say, we had many other contracts in the past, like the new contract for the speed camera, they will include a requirement for the NWB. That was not included before. So when we work with the $30 million for help us to manage the open street, we also included the NWB. So we are taking this, as we know, for me, economic justice is the way of how we can move the city. And we are taking all the necessary steps to continue increasing the numbers of NWBE in our city.
Thank you for that. Moving to DOT's Green Vision. Recently, I was able to learn a lot regarding how other countries approach urban planning, transportation, and green infrastructure in large cities. There are many European cities that do a much more effective job at creating a framework that allows public transit, pedestrians, motorists, and cyclists to coexist in a safer, greener, and more efficient manner. As we look toward the future, we need to make sure the city is keeping up with the times and not getting left behind. What is DOT's vision for a smarter, greener, and more efficient approach to the city's infrastructure? And I will just preface it by saying, recently I was able to travel with a delegation to Denmark and really seeing what shared public space could look like in terms of pedestrians, motorists, and cyclists all the same. And so I would love to know what DOT's vision is that as it pertains to the city's infrastructure. And how does DOT plan to improve the architecture of city streets so that pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers are better able to travel side by side in a peaceful manner?
Again, we all can be very proud of New York City today. Why it started with one pedestrian plaza in Times Square on the Bloomberg and Janet, now have increased to around 90 plaza in New York City. When you heard Mayor Adam, Deputy Mayor Yoshi, and also announcing in Queens, the largest plan to reimagining green space in Queens is a historical proposal that we have in front of all of us. When we are standing with the mayor, putting the proposal to opening the community engagement to reimagine how we can build 8 miles from Van Cortlandt Park to Randall's Island or Greenway, that's how we're doing it. When we meet with any developers, that they come to the city with any project related to transportation, on what they need for me, it's about how are we doing on open street. So I feel that, when we look at our city, definitely we are a role model. One of the things that I say, when I was in that conference where major leader from the U.S. Department of Transportation, the mayor of that town, he only represented an area or 165,000 people. So when I compare ourselves to any country, the first thing that I say, one, what is the social class aspect? One, what is the density of the city? Is that the city similar to us? We are a city only 350 square miles, or 8.6 million people, and 62 million tourists. We continue building. There's a lot of construction going on. 80% of New Yorkers, they're placing orders through Amazon, UPS, and FedEx once a week, 4 times a week. So I feel that definitely the work that all of us have done it together, bill that we have passed here at the council, commitment administration is had New York City in the center of this nation when it comes to looking at greenway as we do construction.
Does DOT have plans to increase use, and just to point out in the question before, I still wasn't clear of the vision of DOT going forward, understanding what the Bloomberg administration has done, but wanting to know what this shared space could look like, and that's something we can work more closely with going forward, and I'm open to that. But does DOT have
No,
plans?
In 2010, I believe, the New York City DOT built for the first time what is called the Street Design Manual. I believe it was in 2018 or 16 when I was a council member. The council passed a bill mandating DOT to upgrade the Street Design Manual every 4 years. So if you think about what do we have on us, how do we work to upgrade, putting our vision together on our street and our plan for the urban planning proposal? One, we can look at the Street Design Manual. The last one was 2020. Now we're working to finish in 2024, definitely a document that we will share with you. Second, we have our strategic plan led by Julie Barrow, who also is in charge of Deputy Commissioner for Policy, who also we work with the whole team to have our plan upgraded. We have a strategic plan as we are speaking today on how we use, what is the vision for our street, to the reimagining for making safer for pedestrians, for cyclists, and those are documents that we are upgrading every 4 years.
And with more time, I would love to unpack again what this administration is doing to move the needle forward in terms of this truly shared space. There's a lot of things that have changed even in the last 4 years, right, in terms of our transportation and infrastructure component. Does DOT have plans to increase use of alternative fuels or clean energy?
So we have various initiatives to support electric vehicles. I think you're talking about the city at large, or maybe talking about the city fleet. But in either case, we are advancing initiatives on both. Eric Beaton can elaborate, but over the last few years, we've put over 100 electric vehicle chargers on the street for public use. We also have some that are separate for city vehicle usage. We've talked a little bit today about other programs. Councilmember Brewer brought up the program where we have e-bike battery charging that we're testing in some pilot locations on the street. The Department of Citywide Administrative Services has a number of efforts. The city fleet is really converting to electric vehicles. Any vehicle that is being manufactured out there is something that we will buy and utilize. So not every type of vehicle that we have in our fleet can be bought electric, of course, at this point, but whatever can, we're committed to purchasing those vehicles and integrating them into our fleet. Eric, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just that we are working hard on expanding private vehicle electrification. We know that a lot of people are going to continue to rely on cars, and we want those cars to be electric wherever they can. Unlike most places in the country, half of our vehicles are stored on the street overnight, so they don't necessarily have a place to charge in their own garage. And that's why we need to provide both on-street overnight charging, places people can charge over longer periods of time, as well as fast charging, where if someone's low and they need a charge, that there's places where they can go and do that very quickly. And so we have a strategy to do that, again, all over the city in all 5 boroughs, focused especially on those places where a lot of people park on the street. So not necessarily the densest core of Manhattan where there's a lot of garages, not necessarily deep in some of the boroughs where people have driveways and private garages, but those in-between areas where a lot of people are parking on the street every day. And so we have a lot of that out there, as Margaret said, and we expect to have more coming shortly.
Okay,
I just want to thank Chair Brandon as well for his leadership on a bill that we worked together for years to pass, including electric vehicle readiness in parking lots.
Thank you for that. So this is going to be like a speed dating situation because I just want to run through a few points for my district and then I'm done. Bayswater Park pedestrian access and the executive capital plan, $22.2 million in capital for the Bayswater Park pedestrian access project is in fiscals 2029 and 2030. I just want to know a couple of things about that. Why is this project so far out in the capital plan? What is the scope of this project currently? Is DOT considering moving the timeline project up, considering the state budget? What stage of the process is the project in currently? And I'm asking these questions specifically because I know DOT briefed me on this a little over a year ago now, and they were preparing to go into design. And so now with this being pushed out, my understanding was that by now it should have reached the design phase. And if that's the case, what does that do to the project by pushing that far out?
Yeah, listen, capital projects unfortunately do take a while due to the different procurement stages. The design is expected to start at the end of this calendar year. We do have the funding. We've used actually federal funding for this project, which on the good news, it allows us to displace city capital dollars. The only slight downside is there are other federal approvals that do slow down capital projects. It is still a very good thing to do overall to include federal or federalized projects whenever we can. So to answer your speed dating question, the design is expected to start at the end of this calendar year.
So what does that do since you're pushing out this project to the outer years if we're going to be in design? Because to have a contractor put in a particular design and a price tag on that, and then, you know, it's several years
We
out.
usually account for that for the funding if we think that we currently have about $26 million of funding, including about $3 million of federal funding. So we usually account our estimate is generally assuming that the typical capital project timeline is about 5 years.
Okay, also, I've spoken with Borough Commissioner Garcia about, in front of my district office in Far Rockaway, there is a bus stop there that the sign is about a little over half a block into that block. It traditionally had not been a bus stop, so people don't necessarily know that it is a bus stop. And this was a part of some of what was discussed in terms of the death of Detective Diller, also in terms of the placement of the vehicle, whether if it was an illegal spot or not. We have asked a number of times for DOT to paint the curb, to paint that sidewalk, the edge of the sidewalk, yellow so people understand that it's a bus stop, or to erect another sign so that people understand from point A to point B, it's actually a bus stop. Because unless you're familiar with that street, if you come and turn on...
We're taking a look to see if we can do better signage.
Well, you guys have taken a look and told us no twice, so I'm asking now on the record because it caused a lot of chaos in that space, and also cars are parked there, and so the bus can't get there, and people are getting let out in the middle of the street because of that. But again, if you're not familiar with that street and you think it's just parking, or if you haven't been there in a while and you think it's still parking, but now it's a bus stop, you don't know, because literally the sign is right here, this is the corner, and you have all of this space here. And so it's not clear to people that that is an actual bus stop. And so we need to make sure that people understand that, because it's also unfair that they park their car not knowing, get a ticket for it as well when we're not doing our due diligence. The community has come in a number of times about this. My office has continued to push DOT to revisit this, and we keep being told no.
About you.
Okay. And then my very last question. When a street doesn't flood and then it's repaved by DOT. We've found instances where it now floods. I'm not sure if it's solely DEP or DOT, because, we had the DEP commissioner come out recently to my district. There were some things he pointed out that's really DOT. We wanted both agencies to come out at the same time, and that was denied. And so, for example, in Arvin, there's a 4-way intersection at Beach 67th Street in Alameda, and it's paved in a way that is now a bowl and it floods. And, one of the constituents said they overheard, like a contractor say, like they overheard them saying it's not pitched well. And so knowing that it's not pitched well, it has not been repaired, but it's, created a lot of flooding issues, and going into some of the homes as well. And so would love for DEP and DOT to get together and have a course of action to address that. Could we get a commitment from DOT to work with DEP on this?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And thank you, Chair Brannon,
And
for your patience.
Chair, I do have the locations of the parking study. If
Oh, thank you.
I can quickly read them off. So locations that we're looking at are in the Upper East Side, Upper West Side, Northern Manhattan, South and Central Bronx, Downtown Brooklyn, and Western Queens. And again, these are locations where people might decide to try to park and then take the train in for the rest of the journey.
And it would probably be great if, and I know, parking is not a thing anymore to some folks, but when I travel and I look at what the infrastructure looks like and where some of the relief valves are, it is because they have space where motorists can get out of their cars, access public transportation. And so it'd be great to see when that report is finished, what that plan can be, or be proactive and maybe do a pilot program and see how it can be like a relief valve with it all. With that, I am done with my questions. Thank you, Chair Brannon.
Commissioner Rodriguez, thank you. Thank you and your team. I, of course, have to shout out the Brooklyn team, Commissioner Bray and Leroy that's here for being super responsive, and Danielle Zuckerman as well on your team is amazing. So we have a very close relationship. Looking forward to working with you going forward and fighting with you to get some of this money restored in the budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairs.
All right, we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we've got the public.
Good afternoon. If everyone can just please find a seat, we are getting ready to begin.
Okay, we're now going to start the public portion of the Transportation and Infrastructure FY25 Executive Budget Hearing. Our first panel here in person is Brian Fritsch, Rosa Chang, and Christopher Leon Johnson.
Yep. Good afternoon. I'm Brian Fritsch, Associate Director of the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, or PCAC. PCAC was created by the state legislature in 1981 to be the official voice of riders on subways, buses, the Long Island Railroad, Metro North, and the Staten Island Railway. Transit riders have much to be thankful for following this year's New York State budget. We're looking forward to increased investment in the MTA, progress towards major capital projects like the Interborough Express and the 2nd Avenue Subway, and common sense laws like Sammy's Law that finally gives New York City control over its own speed limit. Now we're looking forward to even more proposals in the city budget that can help improve mobility around the 5 boroughs. We're particularly thankful for the City Council's support for extending the eligibility criteria of fair fares to 200% of the federal poverty level, and hope it gets over the finish line this year. Access to half-price fares is a game changer for low-income New Yorkers, but at its current eligibility threshold, far too few actually qualify. Raising the eligibility cap to 200% would help ensure that the working poor, including many New Yorkers living paycheck to paycheck or making minimum wage, can finally qualify for this critical program. PCAC also hopes to see fair fares extended to the Long Island Railroad and Metro North within New York City so that low-income riders can afford faster trips on the commuter railroads. Particularly as we prepare for congestion pricing to begin, riders need DOT and Mayor Adams to invest in meaningful expansion of the bus lane network, and we thank Chair Brooks Powers for paying particular attention to that this morning in her first round of questions. We're thrilled about recent expansion of the automated camera enforcement that will help keep cars and trucks out of dedicated bus lanes, and hope to see the city reach the streets plan legal requirement of 150 miles of new bus lanes by the end of next year. Unfortunately, there's a long way to go after previous targets have been missed. We're happy to see any progress, but riders around the city that more can be done to keep their buses out of traffic and improve on the woeful 8 miles per hour that they currently travel, which is the worst performance in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Can begin.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Rosa Chang, and I'm the co-founder of Gotham Park, a grassroots 501c3 that was created in 2021 to open, operate, and maintain a new community-led public space in a neighborhood that has been historically underinvested and overlooked right outside of City Hall. Divided by the Brooklyn Bridge, FDR Drive, and the Civic Center security zone, our residents and businesses are triple burdened by civic infrastructure. We are an environmental justice neighborhood with racial, health, and structural inequity, and a historically disadvantaged community. I'm testifying at a DOT hearing because so much of our public spaces fall under DOT ownership. DOT is a de facto parks agency in our incredibly dense communities where transportation infrastructure land is the only land that's still available. Community are the grassroots of this grassroots endeavor, and with over 47,000 people living within a half-mile radius of the park, we are incredibly diverse. 20% of our families live below the federal poverty level, 20% are seniors, 64% are BIPOC, and we have 8,000 students literally across the street. We opened miraculously the first of 9 acres of planted and play space just last year, and we are opening another 2 acres this year. We worked our butts off to be able to program the space, and we continue to work our butts off to be able to take care of it. We program it, we plant it, we pick up the litter, and we work with our neighbors to collaborate on resiliency and education projects, health initiatives, programming, and the expansion of space for our community. We hosted a community block party just this Saturday with over 3,000 people attending, and we have been open for less than a year. We are asking for your financial support to uplift community-led public space initiatives like ours in a diverse neighborhood that has long done without. 3 acres in 3 years is an incredible accomplishment in city agency bureaucracy terms. I think we can agree on that. And we are fierce community advocates, and we have built momentum. Gotham Park is rare. It isn't every day that a new major public park can be created in New York City, or that community and elected support for a project align. In a city where major projects take decades to be greenlit, 3 acres in 3 years. So please support community-originated, supported, and led initiatives like ours. Please help us survive and thrive. Show your support with funding. We advocated so hard for this space, and we are making it work with the DOT and all of you. Please fund pathways to help us and grassroots projects like ours until we are able to stand on our own and bring up the next generation of legacy public space projects. Thank you for the opportunity to share Gotham Park with you today.
Where is it exactly?
Literally under the Brooklyn Bridge across Center Street. I would be happy to take you on a tour.
It's messed up you didn't invite me to the block party.
Well, I think we might have, but you might have not seen it.
Wait, it's by like where Brooklyn Banks used to be over there?
Yes, it is the Brooklyn
Oh, it
Banks.
is a
We
Brooklyn
opened the 9 stair. We're opening the big banks this year, and
Got
the
it.
small banks are going to be just after it. And
I used to skateboard there when I was a kid.
Are you? Well, then you should be coming on a site tour, shouldn't you?
Skateboard. All right, that's very cool.
Okay, I'm holding you to it.
Yeah, right on. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, my name is Christopher Leon Johnson. Thank you, Justin Brannon. I'm not calling you Fester this time. For staying here, unlike your partner, Sylvian Brooks Powers, who is a crappy driver and that should resign as the chair for the Transportation Infrastructure Committee. Now, I'm calling for the defunding, since it's the executive budget hearing, I'm calling for the defunding of transportation alternatives. I'm calling for a cap for Thursec New England that is working under Worker Justice Project, Los Nistos, to $250,000. They shouldn't be getting over $250,000 without a proper investigation, because the executive director of that nonprofit is shady. The issue here is this transportation committee is really influenced by the DOT, is really influenced by the transportation alternatives. Transportation alternatives owns the DOT. You might as well call this committee the Department of Transportation Alternatives and Open Plains Infrastructure Committee. This is a joke committee. I know, thank you, Brandon, for being here, but Brooks Powers, she's a joke of a chair. She is captain to Transalt. She's captain to Open Plans. She captains all these transportation-related nonprofits. Her past legislative director, Jack, was a simp to Elizabeth Adams. We need an investigation to transportation alternatives. We need an investigation into Sylvia Brooks Powers and her lobbying with Department of Transportation Alternatives. She does not listen to the people. She does not care about her driving record. She needs to resign as the chair for the Transportation Committee. It's a lot of things that's going on here. The DOT is really owned by Transportation Alternatives and Danny Harris and Elizabeth Adams and that crook, Kathy Paul Price, who is protecting that 7-time stalker, Kevin Lachera, who is nothing but the little simp to Lincoln Wrestler, aka Linky. So that's all I gotta say. Defund Transalt, defund Open Plans, defund Worker Justice Project under Thursec New England. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, now we have on Zoom Glenn Balofsky.
Starting time.
Glenn, if you're there, begin, please.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, how are you?
Good, go ahead.
Good. Thank you so much. I want to appreciate you this morning, Chairman Brannon. Nice to see you. I want to thank you and all the electeds who spent time, DOT, and of course, all your important staff, central and district staff, and all of our friends for so many years. You're greatly appreciated, Justin. There's two things I want to talk about today on the record. One is we're also busy on making sure the essential things are done. Now, I'd like to ask to focus on something that's not essential, but will bring a tremendous amount of revenue, is monetizing the parking signs into LED displays. It seems like there's hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising dollars that will also turn this valuable asset. And so right now, an asset that we're not using efficiently, hundreds of millions in advertising and allowing those signs to be in multiple languages and creating accessibility, because it could also then be, as you know, through an API fed right to an app, just like DOT does with so many other apps. So people don't have to get out of their cars, creating, fostering safety, and helping the disability community, seniors, those who have walking and health problems, from having to get out and walk a half a block or a mile to a sign. So monetize the revenue. Let's use it for important things and make it life better. This is New York City, the best in technology, and we're using metal signs from 1950. It's time that we upgrade. Second thing is, as you know, I've been pressing for virtual hearings. And if the chair agrees or concurs, it'd be wonderful to have an oversight hearing on why PVV DOF has promised the speaker, promised the chair, all chairs, that they're going to have virtual hearings, meaning you could argue just like this.
Thank you. Your
with
time
a
has
hearing
expired.
examiner, still stalling years and years past COVID. So I appreciate the chair's help, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Glenn. Now we have Raul Rivera.
Starting time.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So, good afternoon. My name is Raul Rivera. I'm a TLC driver and a TLC driver advocate. There's very little you can say, you know, I mean, there's not much you can say with 2 minutes, but we do want to say that we do not trust the DOT. The DOT doesn't do their job. The DOT is basically run by the nonprofit Transportation Alternatives. And then Transportation Alternatives, they take money from Uber and Lyft. They get donations from Uber and Lyft and the rideshare companies. They're gaslighting New Yorkers with traffic violence. You know, if you're a person and you run into the middle of the street and you get killed by a vehicle, that's not traffic violence. They're changing the language in the city council. We have a senator in Brooklyn, Bernardus, who's trying to put devices in vehicles to control people's speed limit. This is a socialist New York. This is a socialist New York. People are jockeying to try to get money for their districts. What about Thrive NYC? Is anybody calling for an investigation? Anybody following up on that? Anybody want some real answers to that? Because that's money right there. Thrive NYC, that's what, $1.5 billion, you know, and Transportation Alternatives, open plans, street packs, they're affecting our streets. The DOT is renting out street space, public streets that belong to the New Yorker, to the rideshare companies. So you can't have a vehicle, you can't have parking, but throughout the city, they're giving it to a get around and torque it and Zipcar. And this is despicable. This is despicable. We demand an investigation into the DOT. We want the council members to start donating money to transportation.
Your time has expired.
We got 9 council members that hit $77,000 to these nonprofits. If we file a complaint with the COIB, we thank you for the time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, the Committee on Finance jointly with the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, what is this, day 3? Day 3 of executive budget hearings is adjourned. Thank you.